When I found out about I just learned about how they print money. I literally could not believe
it. Money's not real.
For 3 days, I'm sitting around, so I'm like, what the fuck is this? So they could just print this shit?
Money is not real. It's not real. They just print it. It's not real.
Fair. Please continue.
Yeah, so money's not real. And I say that to people.
So it's not about money.
No, it's not about money. So what's it about? It's about power and control. So we say about money not being real. Money is not real from a governmental perspective because they just print it. It's nothing. But money is truthfully the stored time and energy of other people. If you have money, you have stored time and energy of other humans.
Because people are hourly rates.
That's right. Because I can take that money and make someone else use their time and energy for X thing.
Got it. So it's a different version of slavery.
Absolutely. Because if I'm going to come along and say, you're no longer my slave. As my slave, you had to work for a house and a car. You're no longer my slave. In slavery, let's actually look at slavery.
Slavery began that way.
Yeah, and slavery said, you work on my plantation, I give you somewhere to eat.
Or I'll give you my daughter.
Completely. So let's look at even American slavery, the slavery that most Americans understand. You're going to work for me, I'm going to give you a house, and I'm going to give you food, and you're going to stay here and you're going to work. Slavery is abolished. So now what do? You're going to work for me, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you some money, and that money is enough to only buy you a house and some food. We've just put money in the middle. Now, if I can make you do whatever I want for money, and I can print as much money as I want, you're my slave. Because I can print it from the sky, and you need it to live. So you are my slave. Money's not real.
All right. Getting started. Who here knows and can tell me what a Ponzi scheme is?
The whole monetary system is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, yes, we're going to get into that. But what is a Ponzi scheme specifically? Who knows?
I know half.
Scam. It's a scam.
The guy called Ponzi did it himself. He did a Ponzi
Fonz?
scheme. Ponzi scheme. That was his name, Ponzi, not Bonzo. I'll have to teach you how to say scissors. It's called skizzers.
It's a scam. To scam you out of money.
Yeah, that's what it is. But there's more to it than that. Nude broke it down. Go on, Nude. Tell us.
That is correct. It is a scam. Now, how is it a scam? Why is it a scam? can you explain it?
Probably not.
Well, basically,
They
what
offer
it
you
is.
something
Okay, I
that's
can
not
explain
true
it.
for money.
So, a Ponzi
Moose.
scheme is basically where you get someone to sign up for something where they give you money, right? So that first person has given that Ponzi scheme dude the money, and then now people sign up. He keeps signing people up, right? And he pays those people with other people's money less, right? And then each like layer gets less and less money, all the way to the bottom where it's basically like those people are trying to sell other people the dream. And it's all a scam because they don't have enough money to actually make it go, pretty much like the economy.
Sounds like the pyramid scheme.
Very good, Moose. It almost is a pyramid scheme. They're very similar, except the pyramid scheme could be a lot more multitude of things. And some pyramid schemes, there's nothing scammy about them, actually. They're just a structure and a way to organize a team, or if it's in the corporate world, everything in the corporate world is a pyramid scheme, the way that businesses are run. So they're similar.
Excuse me, just a minute, please. Sorry. Burry's asking a question for Moose.
She's off topic.
Yeah, that was from earlier, right?
Was it?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to probably buy the tree because starting an apple tree from seed is a bad idea because you never know what you're going to get. Or I might graft it. I might go back to the hotel and take a couple cuttings off the tree and then graft those onto a different rootstock.
She asked, are you going to try starting your apple tree from clippings or seeds? Oh, okay. Got it. Good question. Okay. So I have a couple quotes of the day here that I'm just going to post up here. And I'll have a couple, 1 second here. There's the first one. We'll read them. And it's one of them is which one is which here? This one here is yesterday's, I believe, quote, and then there's another one from a couple weeks back, and it's these two quotes here that I got thinking about yesterday morning in my meditative state, contemplating that would be an excellent focused discussion for us to get to the nitty gritty. So, who wants to do the honors and read this first one here?
I have to go in the bedroom here, so I always got the TV on. I can't. Go on, Dan. It's all yours.
I'm illiterate.
Jeez.
At least he didn't say I don't get paid enough. I'll even zoom up. Dan, you've been put on the spot.
Yeah, I'm going to the bedroom right now.
Okay. We'll give Rights the other one. Dan, can you do us the honors on this one?
No.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Where's the boot button?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay, we'll wait till.
I can't read with the shit anyway, but you guys want me to. Well, I can't see. I know. Okay.
Instead of fraudulent, I'll say fragrant.
I can't read that at all. Too small for me. Damn.
And I had the circle thing happen. Am I back?
Yeah. I can't read that, Nude. That's too small on the phone.
Is it too small?
Yeah, it is. I can't see that. I think I need glasses.
Probably, but you should be able to zoom with if you use the finger things.
Well, I'm in my cell phone right now. I don't know how to do it without getting kicked out.
Oh, you're on your cell phone and looking at that?
Yeah, I'm
Moose
looking at
can read it. Moose can read it.
My wife's got the TV on in the front room. I'm in the kitchen. You'll be able to hear her, the noise in the background. I don't want that.
Cooking meat.
All right, the entire monetary system is a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent scam Therefore, all who participate in the monetary scheme are participating in a fraudulent system. Quote of the
Liars
day
and
by
cheaters.
Nude. Oh, no, whoa. Quote of the day by Nude Guru.
All right, and we'll do this one here as well. Here's the other one. Moose, you want to grab that too for us?
All right, here we go, folks. We got the current capitalist monetary system is a zero-sum structure and Ponzi scheme. This means that if you are doing well or even modestly okay in the system, it is on the backs of those who are struggling and not doing well at all by design. Do you care? And this is for all the people, especially like me, right? Like I'm in a comfortable spot now. I don't have a bunch of extra capital to throw around, but I grew up really poor, and I realized that yes, I have gained where I'm at on the backs of other people, and so I do give back to the community. I'm community oriented, and I definitely want to get out of this system.
Okay, very good. And there's another aspect of this. So we covered just briefly what a Ponzi scheme was. Very good explanation, Moose. I have a couple videos as well that is going to showcase a good detailed visual explanation of a Ponzi scheme. We'll put on in a minute for everybody as well to elaborate on that. And also, as you can see here in my quote, there's another part of that. Who here knows what a zero-sum structure is?
I don't.
That I'm
Not at
actually
all.
not sure. I'm not
No, I
sure.
don't either. Never even heard of that.
Okay. Dan, do you know? Or anybody in chat?
No idea.
I'm
No
gonna
idea?
guess so before you give us the answer. My guess is a uh, zero sum structure is basically where nobody wins.
You're close, and you kind of hit it earlier, actually, a little bit ago. To sum up a zero-sum structure, it means in order for you to win in a game, somebody else has to lose by design. So there's not enough for everybody.
Copy that.
That's what that means. Another way to put that is there's superficial scarcity by design, so it creates a environment where, like in a game, where people have to compete, and whoever competes the hardest wins, and somebody else has to lose. Now that's all fine and dandy in a game, right? Games are just games. But this is real life stuff we're talking about here. A monetary system, a system that people are depending on and functioning with, co-functioning with. You can already start to see, before we elaborate on this, if that's the case, it's going to set up a pretty dodgy, unhealthy environment for people, where they're going to start to have to do things outside of their character and nature just for survival. Because nobody's going to sit there and just let themselves sit down and let themselves starve. So it really takes things to a pretty toxic situation, where you've got a synthetic scarcity situation going on by design that is not in line with the way things work in nature, which we just started to touch on that a bit ago with Moose, with the abundance that happens in nature. In nature, this is not the case whatsoever. You've got way more than enough for anybody who wants to access into that. It's just never ending. And there is no zero-sum game in nature, not at all. It's healthy. That's why it exists and functions. But in the corporate world and the capitalist monetary system that we have going on today, the entire thing, top to bottom, is zero-sum. Now you got to ask yourself, if you're a moral person, and I reckon most people are, is it moral to participate in this? Now,
Definitely not.
definitely not, of course. Now, most people, of course, don't know or understand how the monetary system actually works. And of course, a lot of that is by design from the corporate school system. It intentionally doesn't even touch base on any of that. It doesn't want, by design, people to even think about that or focus on that. It just wants the people who designed it, the people that aren't present in the public view, by design, they know how it works. And so they're the people at the top of this Ponzi pyramid structure, reaping the most benefits on the backs of all the rest of the people who are naive to this. Now, just because you're naive to this doesn't forgive you. It doesn't forgive you for your participation in this. It doesn't make it okay. It's your responsibility. And this is what a lot of people do. A lot of people, they say, well, I wasn't taught this in school. I wasn't taught this by my parents. And yeah, you weren't. But whose responsibility is it? If you're going to partake in a system of some kind in life, whose responsibility is it to take the initiative, to learn the ins and outs and the top to bottom ins and outs of how the system that you're functioning in? It's certainly not going to be the responsibility of what many people would refer to as your oppressors to give you that information, right? So, and this is what a lot of people go sideways with. They think they've, by design, again, the corporate school system and everybody has taught patriotism and to put your trust into these things that we just take for granted and send our children away to think that, okay, it's been designed for our benefit when it hasn't. And don't question that. Just don't rock the boat or challenge the status quo. And most people don't even have enough time once you get too caught up in the system to even have the energy to focus to question. And that's by design as well. Nonetheless, just because all of that is designed that way does not change the fundamental responsibility aspect that it's on you to think about that still, to learn about that, to challenge, to question, and to get to the bottom of what it is that you're participating in. And that's why we're doing this session here today, so that we can bring more awareness, because awareness is the whole key to all of it. And present it like it is, so that you can see what it is that you've actually been participating in for all this time, and start to think about your morality when it comes to that. And then, of course, we'll discuss the other side of the coin, the options of how to segue out, and the holistic health picture that goes behind in leaving the toxic nature of this whole thing. So let me shift to the couple videos that I have here that are going to showcase the Ponzi scheme and how it works. It's going to elaborate on the explanation that Moose said. There's a couple videos of that, and then I've got one video of the zero sum explanation. And I'll also put the links in chat for anybody who wants to keep that as a reference for themselves and showcase to anybody else as well. These are really good videos that I found. Very brief and simple, to the point, layman's terms, basic videos to explain it. So give me a second here while I call up the first one. How Ponzi scheme works. And we're on this one.
So,
Okay,
you may
here
have
we go.
heard about Ponzi schemes in the news. Everybody knows they're illegal, but you might not understand how they work. So Ben is here to show us. To start off, Ben gets a few people to invest their money with him. At the end of the year, he gives those clients amazing returns that beats every other investor in the market. Needless to say, the investors are thrilled. In fact, they're so ecstatic about all the money they're making that they tell all their friends and family about it too, who tell their friends, who tell their friends. In the stock market, most investors make money some years and lose money others. But Ben's Ponzi scheme, yeah, it never loses money. In fact, it always beats the market by a huge margin. But the returns he pays to these people aren't from actual profits. He just takes the money these new guys invest and gives it to these guys. But as soon as you can't get enough new money,
He froze.
Did it again, eh?
true, it probably is. Just ask Ben.
Oh, never mind. Hey, we missed part of that video. Can you do a replay?
Yeah, let me redo it again. And then after that, I'm just going to go straight into the other two back to back. They're all pretty much just a short like this, just to give other views of explaining the same thing. And while I'm doing that, I'll go ahead and put the 3 links for these videos in the chat for everybody. So here we go with this one again. And sorry about the disconnect there. It's bound to happen here on my Starlink.
So, you may have heard about Ponzi schemes in the news. Everybody knows they're illegal, but you might not understand how they work. So Ben is here to show us. To start off, Ben gets a few people to invest their money with him. At the end of the year, he gives those clients amazing returns that beats every other investor in the market. Needless to say, the investors are thrilled. In fact, they're so ecstatic about all the money they're making that they tell all their friends and family about it too, who tell their friends, who tell their friends. In the stock market, most investors make money some years and lose money others. But Ben's Ponzi scheme, yeah, it never loses money. In fact, it always beats the market by a huge margin. But the returns he pays to these people aren't from actual profits. He just takes the money these new guys invest and gives it to these guys. But as soon as you can't get enough new money from this group to pay these people, then the whole pyramid starts to crumble because they're not getting paid anymore. Ben and these guys who invested first made a killing, but these folks lost all their money. So the next time a guy like Ben tries to get you to invest in something that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Just ask Ben.
Ben's a dick.
As said before, you've probably heard a lot about finance terms being thrown around. One of the most common things you've been hearing is the term Ponzi scheme. In this podcast, I'm going to explain how it works. Now, what is a Ponzi scheme? Well, it's an investment arrangement in which investors are promised low risk and high return. Here's the catch. These investments are fraudulent. They are not actual investments. They eventually collapse, and investors lose a lot of money. The origin of the term Ponzi scheme comes from Italian immigrant Charles Ponzi, who immigrated to the United States in the 1880s. He was a businessman who later duped a lot of people into buying postal reply coupons. When the scheme collapsed, Ponzi had carried out one of the largest frauds in U.S. history. So, how does a Ponzi scheme work? Well, let's start with an example. Let's take an investment of 6 blocks, and each block is worth $1. So in total, that's an investment valued at $6. Anyway, the client goes to what he thinks is a qualified investor. In reality, this investor is a Ponzi schemer, and he says, I have $6. The investor says, if you give me your $6 and invest with me, I will give you $9 of return. So the naive client gives his $6 to the investor. When the client is ready for his money, the investor gives it back to him with the full $9 or the $3 of return that he promised. Satisfied client Green goes and tells his friends Orange, Red, and Blue about his wonderful investment experience. In turn, Orange, Red, and Blue give their investments to the Ponzi schemer. Sure enough, when Orange, Red, and Blue ask for their money back, Ponzi schemer is able to produce it with the high returns that he's promised. The problem with Ponzi schemes is despite the great return, it's looking behind the returns that actually matter. The truth about them, and this is a secret about Ponzi schemes, is they're not about investing. Rather, it's a distribution or a redistribution of money from new investors to old investors. And in this example, let's say there's an old investor, Investor Pink, and he had given Ponzi schemer $6. So he goes to Ponzi schemer and says, I want my return. What Ponzi schemer has actually done is that he's taken money from the newer investors, Red, Orange, and Blue, and he's used that money as part of the return. Now, in fact, this is a simplified example of how a Ponzi scheme works. In reality, it's much more complicated and there's a lot more money being used. The key to understand is not that this example is simple, but that this reflects that the money is being shifted from newer investors to older investors. Thus, the cycle continues. Because satisfied clients are thrilled with their return, the Ponzi schemer earns a good reputation, and that's how Ponzi schemes are able to sustain themselves, by taking money from the much larger pool of newer investors and giving it to the smaller pool of old investors. The pattern continues until the Ponzi schemer stops getting newer investors, or these newer investors aren't large enough to sustain the demands of the older investors. This often happens during an economic downturn or if something goes awry in the fund. The result, when all is exposed, is that the entire scheme collapses. Thus explains the story of Bernie Madoff. The feds estimated that Madoff must have swindled about $50 billion worth of money. How did he get so many clients? Well, it was primarily reputation-based. He started giving out some good return that his clients referred him to their friends, and slowly he was able to build up a roster of very wealthy clients. By having this large number of clients, Madoff was able to sustain his fund for a good period of time, until finally some people started getting suspicious and the entire scheme collapsed. That's the reality behind Ponzi schemes. They can never last. To review, Ponzi schemes aren't actually investments. They're just a redistribution of money from old investors to new investors. When new investors can't support the returns of old investors, the scheme collapses. Investors such as Bernie Madoff are able to get a wide array of clients because of their reputation, not because of their investing ability. Thus, they're able to fool many people. Coming up, how assets can be toxic. Thanks for watching. To learn more or watch more podcasts, visit www.subprimethemusical.wordpress.com.
Want a new career but don't have experience?
Prior to the Google UX design certificate, I didn't have any.
A Ponzi scheme is an investment fraud that supposedly offers investors low risk and high profit. Although investors believe that their profits come from successful business activities, in reality, there aren't any business activities or profit. New investors are the source of the funds, and the profit is just a redistribution of money that's collected from investors. Suppose that you have $1,000 and my offer is 20% payback every month. That means you'll get $200 at the end of the first month, $200 at the end of the second month, $200 at the end of the third month, and so on. After just 5 months, your money has doubled, $1,000 profit plus $1,000 your capital. It sounds like magic, but it isn't sustainable. Let's see why it's a dead end. Although Ponzi schemes can be very complex, let's keep ours simple and say that every month 10 people join the scheme and each of them invests $10,000. They'll get 20% payback every month. In the first month, 10 people join and $100,000 is collected. In the second month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $20,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first month. The total money will be $180,000. In the third month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $40,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first and second months. The total money will be $240,000. In the fourth month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $60,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first, second, and third months. The total money will be $280,000. In the fifth month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $80,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first, second, third, and fourth months. The total money will be $300,000. In the sixth month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $100,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth months. The total money will be $300,000. In the seventh month, 10 people join, $100,000 is collected, and $120,000 is paid back to people who joined in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth months. The total money will be $280,000. If you notice, the total money at the end of the sixth month stops increasing. After 6 months, the total amount of money begins to drop. And in the 11th month, the total money will be zero. In reality, the total money never drops to zero because the creator of the scheme either disappears or declares bankruptcy when the total money begins to drop. In order for the scheme to survive, the number of new investors each month must be higher than in the previous month, and that's impossible to keep up. Eventually, the scheme will collapse. You might think it would be very profitable if you join the scheme early on, but the problem is you can't know when the scheme has started or when it'll stop. Even if you join at the starting point, there are many uncertainties. When you want to quit, will you be able to get your capital? In our example, in order to earn your capital, the scheme must continue for at least 5 months. But will it? Finally, let's look at how we can identify a Ponzi scheme. Many Ponzi.
I'm just going to pause there for 1 second and elaborate on what he just said here. Notice how when he was putting the question mark here, he didn't even mention a thing about morality. It was all just based on who can get in first. Almost like there was no consideration for the fact that no matter what, even if you got in first and you lost, it was based on somebody else, and you won rather. It was based on somebody else that by design is going to have to lose in here. And that's where the zero-sum game comes in, which we'll elaborate on it in just a second. So, who cares if you win in this scheme if it's on the back of somebody else who's got to lose by design? Now, it'd be one thing, I guess, if, gambling is gambling. And that's really what this is, right? The entire monetary system actually is just gambling. It's a game of hot potato. Now, if you have a situation where everybody involved in a game of some kind is fully disclosed and aware, top to bottom, what they're involved into, they understand the structure of it and the risks, fair game, right? But obviously that's not what we're dealing with here, especially on a large scale worldwide at all, both monetary systems. So it's widely a scam and highly a scam, because it's preying on the naivety of people who don't know this, and exploiting the vulnerability that comes along with that.
Be able to get your capital. In our example, in order to earn your capital, the scheme must continue for at least 5 months. But will it? Finally, let's look at how we can identify a Ponzi scheme. Many Ponzi schemes share common characteristics.
Chemtrails.
Every investment carries some degree of risk. If someone offers no or low risk with high earnings, it's a warning sign that it could be a Ponzi scheme. Also, investments tend to go up and down over time. Be skeptical about an investment that regularly generates positive returns regardless of overall market conditions.
All right, so those are
Dialpad
the,
AI.
one second here. Those are the 3 videos on the Ponzi scheme overview. And now we will do the zero-sum game aspect of things.
Welcome to the Investors Trading Academy talking glossary of financial terms and events. Our word of the day is zero-sum game, a situation in which one person's gain is equivalent to another's loss. So the net change in wealth or benefit is zero. A zero-sum game may have as few as 2 players or millions of participants. Zero-sum games are found in game theory, but are less common than non-zero-sum games. Poker and gambling are popular examples of zero-sum games, since the sum of the amounts won by some players equals the combined losses of the others. In game theory, the game of matching pennies is often cited as an example of a zero-sum game. The game involves 2 players, let's call them A and B. Simultaneously placing a penny on the table, the payoff depends on whether the pennies match or not. If both pennies are heads or tails, player A wins and keeps player B's penny. If they don't match, player B wins and keeps player A's penny. This is a zero-sum game, because one player's gain is the other's loss. Zero-sum games are essentially bets. In the financial markets, for instance, speculators essentially place bets on the future prices of certain commodities. Thus, if you disagree with the consensus that wheat prices are going to fall, you might buy a futures contract. If your prediction is right and wheat prices increase, you could make money by selling the futures contract before it expires. Zero-sum games have a bigger purpose in the markets, however. They provide a lot of liquidity to the futures market and help companies find a way to stabilize their prices and thus their operations and financial performance.
All right, there we have that. Let me just come back on our screen here. Okay. So there we have the elaborated explanation of the Ponzi scheme and the zero-sum game. Let's just see if everybody is comprehending that up to this point. Is everybody understanding the aspects of this part so far?
I do understand. I don't gamble. I lost. Some people won.
Right.
But how does that relate to the government, though?
Okay, so we're going to segue to that in a bit. Very good question. Other than that question, is there any other questions that anybody has? Anybody in chat as well, regarding just how a Ponzi scheme works and zero-sum game concept?
No.
Basically, what it is on both of them, the Ponzi scheme and the what was the other one? Some game,
Zero-sum.
Zero-sum game. Yeah,
Zero-sum, yeah.
somebody's going to lose, regardless.
Yes. Yes. So basically, a zero sum is an aspect of a Ponzi scheme in this sense, right? That part of the Ponzi scheme is insured when it comes to that. Okay. Since that's clear, which is excellent, you can see here why if you're investing in a particular scheme of some sort, some business opportunity or whatnot, this wouldn't be very intelligent, not a very wise thing to do. It's also quote unquote illegal if you care about that, which many people do, of course. But here's the question. Now that's just investments and different, structures and models that operate within the capitalist monetary world. But what if the entire monetary structure itself was the Ponzi scheme and the zero sum
Yes.
game?
Well, it is.
Indeed, it is. Now, this is a bigger picture, which most people tend to know that a Ponzi scheme is not a very intelligent thing to participate in. But most people think that, it's just on a smaller scale with investments and so on and so forth. And basically just a bunch of dumb people get taken for a ride, and a few people take advantage of that. But what most people don't have a clue about and don't even consider is that the entire monetary system itself is a Ponzi scheme. Now think about that when it comes to the legality aspect. Here they tell you, if you care about such a thing, even though, as we discuss here a lot, they're just made up fictions anyways. But talk about a hypocrisy. Yeah, Ponzi schemes are illegal, but the entire monetary system is a Ponzi scheme. Now we're going to showcase that more elaborately in just a bit here, but given the benefit of the doubt, if that's the case, that means that every single person participating in this monetary structure, no matter where, no matter what part you're playing, banks, merchants, consumers, customers, whatever, you're all part and parcel to something illegal. Now, forget about the illegal aspect for a second, because that's just made up anyways. And just go back to the morality aspect, the more sensible look at it. How many people do you think would actually continue to still participate in a structure of some sort with hundreds of millions and even billions of other people if they actually realize that probably about 98, maybe even 99% of everybody else that was participating in it had no clue that it was an actual structure like a Ponzi scheme? What would that change? I reckon at the very least it would cut the mustard to separate where the rubber meets the road, to showcase who was moral versus who wasn't. That's for sure. It would make that very obvious and clear, right?
Yeah, but you got to buy your bread.
Now it becomes, that's a very good point. So now it becomes a question, what do I do about it, right? Once you know about that. Well, yeah, I still have to feed myself. But do I feed myself on the backs of somebody else who has to, by design, if they're codependent on this and they have no other option, they have to starve? Think about that. Who gets to eat then, and who has to starve? Who gets to decide that? Becomes very dicey. So let's go into the next section here, which kind of integrates to Wright's question. How does that tie in government? Well, it definitely ties in government, top to bottom, in so many different ways. And this next video that I'm going to showcase is going to present how that's the case. But it's also going to elaborate in detail exactly how the entire monetary system itself is a zero-sum game and a Ponzi scheme. And you'll see pretty clearly, I'm sure, at the end of it, how if most people realize this, or if everybody realizes this, just realizing this alone would change things radically. First of all, you would get the people who had morals at the forefront of things. They wouldn't want to participate anymore. They would be very open and looking for other options in life. And then the ones who weren't thinking about morals, they might, they're a little bit more greedy or whatever. They probably think twice about just the fact that the risk factor in what they're participating in wouldn't intellectually make much logical sense. So you get a lot of people there. And then you would get the real greedy, corrupt-minded individuals, the real shitheads of society who aren't going to care anyways. And, that's just the way the human mind works, unfortunately, especially with indoctrination. So, but certainly a good, things would be very, very, very different. Absolutely, they would be very different. Okay, so I got 2 videos that explain this. These ones are a little bit longer. And which one should I do first here? Bear with me here as I catch up closing my tabs. That one and that one. Okay, let's do this one first. This one's the shorter of the 2. The first one is more of just a kind of a layman's overview, kind of like that last video that we were watching, a man narrating and discussing the topic. And then the second one is a bit of a cartoon version that takes things down in kind of an entertaining way and breaks things up nicely for us to help us understand the ins and outs of the monetary structure and how it works. So here we go with the first one. One sec.
They say that money doesn't grow.
Okay. Was there any, just real quick, was there any lag? Did anybody notice other than that one?
Not at all.
Happened there? Not at all? Everything's coming clear? Okay. And we'll continue as is. All right, so here's the first video. It's titled The Monetary System Visually Explained. Just make sure that's that, and here we go.
They say that money doesn't grow on trees, but the truth is that the modern banking system creates currency far faster than trees can grow. Most people don't have a clue how currency is created. Economists and bankers make it sound so complex that people think they can't understand it.
1 sec.
But I'm going to strip our monetary system down to its essence so that you can see the scam behind the curve.
I jumped to the other tab of mine.
Fuck's sakes, Wrights, get it right.
Yeah, no kidding. You guys could hear it, just not see it? Is that right?
See it, though.
Si, senor.
All right. Back to here. Where is that one? They switched all these StreamYard things around. Okay, there it is. Take 2. Here we go.
They say that money doesn't grow on trees, but the truth is that the modern banking system creates currency far faster than trees can grow. Most people don't have a clue how currency is created. Economists and bankers make it sound so complex that people think they can't understand it. But I'm going to strip our monetary system down to its essence so that you can see the scam behind the curtain and just how it affects you. Every modern society creates currency in pretty much the same way. But since the US dollar is the majority of the world's currency, I'm going to use the United States as our example. It all starts when some politician says, vote for me and I'll make sure the government provides you more free stuff than my opponent will. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. So to provide that supposedly free stuff, the politicians vote for the country to spend more than its income. This is called deficit spending. To pay for that deficit spending, the Treasury borrows currency by issuing a bond. So what's a bond? If you think about it, a bond is really nothing but a glorified IOU. It's a pretty piece of paper with numbers printed on it that says, loan me $1 trillion today, and I promise over a 10-year period, I'm going to pay you back that $1 trillion plus interest. But what you need to understand is that Treasury bonds are our national debt. These glorified IOUs are to be paid back by you and I and our descendants through future taxation. Therefore, when the government issues a bond, it steals prosperity out of the future so that it can spend it today. The Treasury then holds a bond auction, and the world's largest banks show up and compete to buy part of our national debt and make a profit on it by earning interest. You'll notice that as we move through this process, the big banks are there, taking a cut every step of the way. This isn't by chance, as you'll see shortly. Then, through a shell game called open market operations, the banks get to sell some of those bonds to the Federal Reserve at a profit. To pay for the bonds, the Federal Reserve opens up its big old checkbook and writes bad, bogus, counterfeit checks that should bounce because they're drawn on an account that always has a zero balance. There isn't one penny in there. To quote from the Boston Federal Reserve, when you or I write a check, there must be sufficient funds in our account to cover that check. But when the Federal Reserve writes a check, there is no bank deposit on which that check is drawn. When the Federal Reserve writes a check, it is creating money. The Fed then hands those checks to the banks, and at this point, currency springs into existence. The banks then take that currency and buy more bonds at the next Treasury auction. But what is a check? A check is also an IOU. When you write a check, you're making a note that says, here's my IOU for cash. All you have to do is go to the bank and pick it up. Now, it's very, very important that you understand this process because we're going to come back later and show you the devastating effect this has on you. The Treasury issues IOUs, bonds. The banks then buy those IOUs with currency. The Federal Reserve then writes IOUs, checks, and hands them to the banks in exchange for the Treasury's IOUs, the bonds. And currency is created. So what's really happening is the Federal Reserve and the Treasury are just swapping IOUs, using the banks as middlemen, and abracadabra, presto, currency magically springs into existence. This process repeats and repeats over and over again, enriching the banks and indebting the public by raising the national debt. The end result is that there's a buildup of bonds at the Federal Reserve and currency at the Treasury. This process is also where all paper currency comes from. The Federal Reserve and the government mistakenly call it base money because they didn't watch episode 1 of this series and they don't know the difference between money and currency. But I will correctly refer to it as base currency because it is not money. It is currency, and as we've learned, there is a big difference. Money has to be a store of value and maintain its purchasing power over long periods of time. We learned in episode 1 that earlier in our history, our paper currency was just a claim check. It was a representation for real money of intrinsic value, the gold and silver that was held on deposit at the Treasury. You could walk into any bank and slap your currency, like say a $20 bill, on the counter and redeem it for real money, a $20 gold piece. But now, this base currency that's piling up back here is really nothing but a receipt or a claim check on an IOU, that bond. So it's really nothing but a supply of numbers. The Treasury then deposits the newly created currency into the various branches of the government, and the politicians say, hey, thanks for that. And the government does some deficit spending on public works, social programs, and war. The government employees, contractors, and soldiers then deposit their pay in the banks. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but when you deposit your currency with the bank, you're not actually depositing it into an account to be safely held in trust for you. Instead, you're actually loaning the bank your currency, and within certain legal limits, they can do with it pretty much anything they please. This includes gambling in the stock market and loaning it out. at a profit, of course. Now this is where the machine of currency creation really gets cranking, because this is where something called fractional reserve lending comes into play. Fractional reserve lending is exactly what it says. The banks are allowed to reserve only a fraction of your deposit and loan the rest out. Although reserve ratios may vary, I'm going to use a 10% reserve ratio as our example. If you deposit $100 in your account, the bank can legally take $90 of it and loan it out without telling you. The bank must hold $10 of your deposit in reserve just in case you want some of it. These reserves are called vault cash. But why does your bank account still say you have $100 if the bank has stolen $90 of it? Because the bank left IOUs it created, called bank credit, in its place. Now I know this sounds crazy, but here it is in black and white from the Fed. Commercial banks create checkbook money when they grant a loan simply by adding new deposit dollars in accounts on their books in exchange for a borrower's IOU. These are nothing but numbers that the banks type into their computers. And even though these bank credit IOU numbers are very different from base currency numbers, because they only exist in computers, they are still currency. So now there is $190 in existence. Now, the reason people take out loans from the banks is to buy something. They're going to buy a house or a car or something like that. So the borrower takes the $90 that the bank loaned to him from your account, and he pays the seller of the item. But then the seller deposits that currency into his account, and his bank loans out 90% of that and leaves bank credit numbers in its place. So now there's $271 in existence. This process repeats and repeats until under a 10% reserve ratio, an initial deposit of just $100 can create up to $1,000 of bank credit, all backed by $100 of vault cash.
I'm just going to pause there for 1 second. Does this look a little familiar? Think back to what we were just discussing. Ponzi scheme. Interesting. And we will continue.
Just 10%. But as I said, reserve ratios vary wildly. On some deposits, it's 10%. On others, it's 3%. And on some forms of deposits, reserve requirements are 0. The result is that the expansion of the currency supply by the banks is far greater than even this example would lead you to believe. So once again, when currency is deposited in the banks get to lend it out, and then it gets redeposited and relent, redeposited and relent, redeposited and relent over and over again, creating bank credit all the way. This is where the vast majority of our currency supply comes from. In fact, 92 to 96% of all currency in existence is created not by the government, but here in the banking system. Now, massive amounts of currency spewing into society may at first sound like a fun idea. That is, until you remember one of the most important hidden secrets of money from episode 1, that the prices of everyday goods and services act as a sponge on an expanding currency supply. The more currency we have, the more prices rise. This is where inflation comes from. The true definition of inflation is an expansion of the currency supply. Rising prices are merely the symptom. So our entire currency supply is nothing but a couple of bucks whipped up in this hocus-pocus scam where the Treasury and the Federal Reserve swap glorified IOUs, and a bunch of numbers that the banks just type into their computers. That's it. That's our entire currency supply. It's nothing but a supply of numbers. Some of them printed, most of them typed, and there is nothing else. But if you thought that was crazy, get ready to enter the twilight zone of modern economics. We work for some of that currency supply. True wealth is your time, but we trade away moments of our lives, hour by hour, day by day, and year by year, for numbers that somebody printed on pieces of paper or just typed into a computer. Now those numbers represent our blood, sweat, tears, labor, ideas, and talent. We are what gives the currency its value. But here comes the really cruel joke. We work hard so that we can save some of that currency, so that we can pay the tax collector. In the United States, it's known as the IRS. They then turn it over to the Treasury so that the Treasury can pay the principal plus interest on that bond that the Federal Reserve bought with a check drawn on an account that has nothing in it. Now let's do a recap on this section, because this is where the system begins to rob you and I on a massive scale. Much of our taxes are not used for schools, roads, and public services, but to pay interest on bonds that the Federal Reserve bought with a check drawn on an account that has nothing in it. The Federal Reserve is committing fraud. But here's one of the biggest secrets of them all. Before the establishment of the Federal Reserve, there was no need for personal income tax. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913, and that very same year, the Constitution was amended to allow income tax. Do you really think this was just a coincidence? Ask yourself how much income tax you've paid over your lifetime. Much of it has been silently siphoned away into the hands of those who own the system. Yes, this system has owners. Who they are is an even bigger secret that we'll get to shortly. But first, we need to understand the mumbo-jumbo of the so-called debt ceiling. It's all based on a huge paradox. There was interest due on that bond, and there was interest due on every one of those loans that the banks made. That means that there is interest due on every dollar in existence. Let me ask you something. If you borrow the very first dollar into existence, and that's the only dollar that exists on the planet, but you promise to pay it back plus another dollar's worth of interest, where do you get the second dollar to pay the interest? The answer is that you have to borrow that one into existence and promise to pay it back with interest as well. So now there are $2 in existence, but you owe $4, and so on and so on. The result is there's never enough currency to pay the debt. There is always more debt in the system than there is currency in existence to pay the debt. Therefore, the whole system is impossible. It is finite. It will come to an end one day. What would happen if the government stopped borrowing to do deficit spending? Are the payments on those treasury bonds going to stop? What would happen if the public stopped borrowing and going deeper into debt? Are your house and car payments going to stop? No. There is a payment due every month on the principal plus the interest on every dollar in existence, and those payments do not stop. If we stop borrowing, then no new currency is created to replace the currency that we used to make those payments. Whether you're making a payment on a loan or paying tax to make a payment on a bond, the portion of the payment that goes to pay off the principal extinguishes that portion of the debt. But the debt also extinguishes the currency. Currency and debt are like matter and antimatter. When they meet, they annihilate each other. If we just pay off the principal only on all the loans and bonds that exist, the entire currency supply just vanishes. So if we don't go deeper into debt every year, look what happens. The whole thing goes into a deflationary collapse under the weight of those payments. Politicians and pundits alike talk about balancing the budget, paying down the debt, and living within our means. They don't understand that that is deflationary. It is impossible to do under our current monetary system without collapsing the whole economy. This is why any talk of a debt ceiling is not only ridiculous, it's delusional. The system is designed to require ever-increasing levels of debt just to continue. And that's why politicians will always kick the can down the road and raise this so-called debt ceiling over and over again until the whole system finally collapses under its own weight. In other words, they don't want it to collapse on their watch. The founding fathers of the United States knew the dangers of central banking and fought to free themselves from this very thing. The Revolutionary War started out as a tax revolt, but now we must pay tax just to have a monetary system. Having just suffered through the hyperinflation of the continental dollar, which was printed into oblivion to finance the Revolutionary War, they understood the dangers of fiat currency and debt-based monetary systems. So to protect future generations from institutional theft and out-of-control government, they wrote into the Constitution that only gold and silver can be money for the simple fact that you can't print them. Our current system is not only unconstitutional, but it robs us of the liberty and prosperity our forefathers fought and died for. We are all feeling the effects of ignoring the Constitution right now. By forcing more currency into circulation, our purchasing power is diluted. Inflation is a slow and insidious stealth tax that is simply the result of this debt-based monetary system. This system empowers and benefits those who create the currency and receive it first, as they get to spend it into circulation before it has an effect on the economy. They're stealing purchasing power from you and transferring it to the banks and the government every hour of every day because of this false monetary system. And it's not like the people at the top don't know this. To quote the Federal Reserve, the decrease in purchasing power incurred by the holders of money due to inflation imparts gains to the issuers of money. This is a fraud. It is a pyramid scheme, it is a Ponzi scheme, it's a scam, and it's a lie. Our entire monetary system is nothing but a form of legalized theft. But here's the biggest con job of them all. The Federal Reserve is not federal. It has stockholders. There is no federal agency that has stockholders. What's a stockholder? A share of stock represents a percentage of ownership in a corporation. So the stockholders are the owners of that corporation. Therefore, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation with owners. And you can see it for yourself if you go to the Federal Reserve's website, and it will say the stockholders receive an annual dividend of 6%. Now, we know that the stock in the Federal Reserve was originally issued to the largest banks in the United States. But because of mergers and acquisitions through the years, you can't actually trace who owns the stock in the Federal Reserve. That's a very closely guarded secret. My guess would be that the owners are those primary dealers, the banks that get to make a profit by selling part of our national debt, those bonds, to the Federal Reserve, who buys them with a check from nothing. Then we pay tax to pay the principal and the interest on those bonds so that the Federal Reserve can pay the banks a 6% dividend. Don't be alarmed if you don't quite comprehend the deception of this system at first glance. Very few people do. It is purposely complex. The economist John Maynard Keynes once wrote, "By this means, government may secretly and unobserved confiscate the wealth of the people, and not one man in a million will detect the theft." I believe that presented correctly, anyone can understand this system, regardless of how complex it is. So let's do a recap and break it down even more. The way the system works is that, step 1, the government creates glorified IOUs. These bonds increase our national debt and put the public on the hook to pay it back. Step 2, IOUs are swapped to create currency. The Treasury sells the bonds to the banks. The banks then turn around and sell our national debt at a profit to the Federal Reserve, which they probably own. The Federal Reserve then opens its checkbook that doesn't have a penny in it and buys those IOUs with IOUs that it writes, checks, on a checking account that has a zero balance. Then they give those checks to the banks and currency just springs into existence. And then the whole process repeats. This results in a buildup of bonds at the Federal Reserve and currency at the Treasury, which is really just a supply of numbers. The Treasury then deposits the numbers in the various branches of the government, and we get to step 3. The government spends the numbers on promises, public works, social programs, and war. Then the government employees, contractors, and soldiers deposit their pay into the banks, and we get to step 4, where the banks multiply the numbers by magically inventing more IOUs through fractional reserve lending, where they steal a portion of everyone's deposit and lend it out. That currency gets redeposited, and then a portion is stolen again. And the process repeats over and over, magnifying the currency supply exponentially. Then we work for some of those numbers, which brings us to step 5, where our numbers are taxed. We pay tax to the IRS, who then turns our numbers over to the Treasury, so the Treasury can pay the principal plus the interest on bonds that were purchased by the Federal Reserve with a check from nothing. Then we get to step 6, the debt ceiling delusion. The system is designed to require ever-increasing levels of debt and will eventually collapse under its own weight because politicians always kick the can down the road. They don't want it to collapse on their watch. And finally, step 7, the secret owners take their cut. The world's largest banks own the Federal Reserve. Those banks make a profit selling our national debt to the Fed. They make a profit when the Fed pays them interest on the reserves held at the Fed. And the Fed pays them a 6% dividend on their ownership of the Fed. This system is fundamentally evil. It funnels wealth from the working population to the government and the banking sector. It is the cause of the artificial booms and busts of modern economies, and it causes great disparity of wealth between the rich and the working class. And it is only possible because we no longer use real money, we use currency. But worst of all, it is a form of enslavement. Bond is the root word of bondage. Whenever a government issues a bond, it is a promise to make us pay tax in the future. Nobody asked you if you wanted to pay tax today for the prosperity we all enjoyed in the last century. Nobody is asking our children if they want to work hard in the future to pay for the prosperity we're enjoying now. George Washington once wrote to James Madison, "No generation has the right to contract debts greater than can be paid off during the course of its own existence." By stealing prosperity from tomorrow so we can spend it today, we enslave ourselves and future generations. Now, this all sounds pretty bad, but there is great hope, for you are the greatest threat to this false monetary system. This system relies on the public being ignorant of its workings. Please share this knowledge with everyone you know, because an informed public that fully understands the system can build a better future for generations to come.
Okay, so that was the first one. Let's just pause and reflect on that. That's starting to answer your question there a little bit, Mr. Big Thumbs. Oh, you're on mute. I think I muted you. Let me take you off. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it that we, the constituents, have to pay taxes when they can print as much money as they want to? Is
Because
this
you believe you do.
would it be like control? You have to pay. It's just like a control factor.
The only reason why you have to do anything in life is because you believe you do. And if they can convince you, if they can convince you, that's why, and this goes back to another level of trust. The three foundations to enslavement is belief, faith, and trust. You remember that?
I remember the name. I just don't remember the one.
The three keys to indoctrination is belief, faith, and trust.
Trust. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why they teach you that first. Second to that, the next layer. If I can convince you after I can taught you belief, faith, and trust to have, I'll teach you this system. I'll teach you to believe that it's real, and I'll teach you to put your trust in it, and teach you to believe that you owe something for the use of this system. And if you do, you fell for the scam, and that's why. It's only based on that belief. That's it.
Belief, trace, trust.
Belief, trust, and faith.
Faith. Okay. So basically, if I didn't watch, I just tell them, go, well, there is a law that says we don't have to pay taxes. I know that. I've heard it already. One guy's already done it. He went to court. I don't know how many times they finally left him alone. I don't remember where I seen it at.
Let me ask you a question. What is a law?
The law is a fake. That's what it is. Man-made law from our
something man-made, right?
Right. Yeah, from our oppressors.
So if it's just made up, does it matter?
Not to me, it don't.
Right. Who does it matter to, though?
To them.
To those who have belief, trust, and faith.
Mm-hmm. Which is our oppressors as well. Because they're counting on it.
Well, they're counting on that naivety of the people who have the belief, trust, and faith, which is who?
Us.
Right.
Constituents.
The populace.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Masses, yep.
Right. So if the populace didn't do this belief, just think of all the scams and gullibility that couldn't happen if this thing called belief wasn't in the minds of people.
Well, there would be nothing. Be us. We'd be our own.
Right. So if you were never even taught about belief, trust, or faith, if you were never taught this concept, this idea of belief, could I ever convince you to believe in a scam and fall for it?
No.
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 You wouldn't know how, right? Belief is a man-made ideology to set the stage for scams. That's why that's the first thing in indoctrinative reconditioning to work out, is to let go of the idea, because it's the foundation of scamism. That's what it is.
Now, can I go a little bit ahead of ourselves, just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting ourselves in debt purposely. They're spending this fake money like crazy, $34 trillion, and they're doing it deliberately. Eventually, the weight of the debt is going to collapse. I can see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm thinking is when they do that, they're going to say, don't worry about it. We got another fake thing coming up called CBDC, central bank digital currency.
Yes.
But don't worry about it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking they're going to do. They're going to put everybody in a scare. Okay.
That was the plan all along. They know it by design, right? And they have this in place ready to go. And they have it calculated down to the science. They're in such complete control of it that they know exactly, like, they're manipulating their own system structure to such a fine tee that it'll be their decision the day that happens and it switches over to the next form of monetary system, which is an even higher level control. And it's always done through problem, reaction, solution. So what's the problem? Oh, we've got a monetary crisis. They're not going to tell you what we're talking about here. They know, right? But the public doesn't know. So what's the problem? Oh, we've got a monetary crisis. We got, they'll just make a bunch of bullshit up or whatever. We've got short supply of this. We got short supply of that. We got short of labor, this and that. The politicians always have these scripts that they're given to scapegoat and blame on anything to be a distraction from just the reality that is just the design of the system. And that's why you hear them, and they coincided with with the political theater show. That's all part and parcel with it, right? And that's why you'll hear, it works perfectly by design. Well, we're going to do this. We're going to reduce taxes a little bit next year. It's all just bullshit. It's all a scam, top to bottom, and it's only relevant to those who, A, don't know better, and B, are hopelessly dependent on it, and nobody else, which is most people in the corporate world, unfortunately.
I'm one of them. I agree. I'm one of them. Yep.
Right. Most people are.
Maybe donating to your local politicians might help.
Yeah, I vote to raise taxes higher next year. I agree. I think they're way too low.
Well, actually, they built their own fake law. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to actually have silver or gold to back it up.
Well,
they didn't do it.
Well, forget that. That's just a distraction too.
Yeah,
but
that's okay. Go on.
But back to what I was saying earlier, since you brought up the being a hypocrisy to their own law rule things, as I was saying before, they made it a law, right, to not do a Ponzi scheme. Well, if a Ponzi scheme is illegal, right, they made it illegal to make and participate in a Ponzi scheme. Well, if a Ponzi scheme is illegal, then everybody's breaking the law, because as you can see here, as you just saw, the entire system is a Ponzi scheme. Top to bottom, the monetary system itself is a Ponzi scheme and a zero-sum game.
All right, let me ask you something else. Who wins in this game? I know we don't. Why
Nobody.
did they? No, not even the Ponzi guy.
Correct.
Wow.
Because of the bigger picture. And that we'll get into
It's
when
nothing
we
to do
talk
with
about.
money. It's all about control
Yes.
and genocide.
When we
That
get
makes sense.
into the actual solutions, you'll realize something that I say many times is that there are no winners in this system. Everybody who participates loses by design. I have a quote about this. Even if you, in a zero sum Ponzi scheme, even if you are the individual who collects and holds all the pieces and controls the entire board, you still lose. Now, why is that? Because it's on the backs of people
That's on
who
the
have.
what?
It's on the backs of people who have to suffer. That's number one. So when it topples, everybody's gone. That's number one. Number two, the other side of the equation is the abundance in nature that is so vast and so rich and fruitful on its own that the participation in this is a grain of sand in comparison to the universe in all that existence, life, and nature has to offer. And every moment that you're participating in this superficial scam monetary system, you're missing out on all of the freely available abundance that nature has to offer for everybody. For what? Breadcrumb. That's why you lose. Even if you have the biggest breadcrumb, it don't matter. You miss out. You miss out so blindedly. Blindedly is the key word. You can't even see what you're missing out on. You don't even know it's there. And if you fall for the scams of the belief, trust, and faith, you get some sort of inclination that it's there. You'll probably be too afraid to go and access to it. You'll feel guilty. I can't do that. I can't go pick an apple off some tree. All the land is owned already. It's going to be stealing from somebody's backyard if I do that. Sound familiar? Lies. Lies. It's all based on lies. That's why.
But that's what they're counting on. They want you to do that.
Correct. Nobody wins in a game of deceit. He who participates loses by design. Nobody wins in a game of lies and cheating. Even if you're the head cheater and winner, you're still cheating and lying. And every projection outward is also a reflection back inward. So ultimately, you're cheating yourself. The worst part is the worst cheating that you can do to yourself is something that you don't even know what you're cheating yourself out of. So all these people who are superficial, have this superficial wealth at the top. You hear the saying, it's easier to fit a camel through the eye of a needlehead than it is for a rich man to get to heaven. You heard that saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, this is what it means. You got all these people who start to accumulate this superficial wealth and they sit back and they go, okay, I got it made, right? I don't have to do my laundry. I got all these peasants and minions that'll do anything that I tell them to do because, they believe in this scam that I'm running. Well, that's great. But that's how you're functioning in life. Can you imagine if your entire livelihood was on the thread of belief that millions of people were naive to every single day? And that's how you functioned. Meanwhile, in the backyard, you've got all this abundance everywhere, but you're so wrapped up in this control game because you're very insecure about losing that control. Oh, are you ever? Right? Can you imagine how insecure the people at the top of the structure must be every single day to know how fragile that topple system is, to try and hold it together and keep the scam going, and that their entire livelihood is based on that?
Excuse me,
That's not.
someone pop in there now. I keep hearing boop boop.
That's just Sly on her phone. She is doing the phone thing, going in and out.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what was going on. I keep looking. I can't find it. Okay. Go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries. It's just her phone thing. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are in a scam. If you're participating in a scam, you lose. It's as simple as that.
So if people who are smart, just to start off, do a
Mhm.
garden every year. Have a backup in case something should happen with monetary system.
No, sir,
At
not a
least they'd have
backup.
food.
Not a
The number
backup.
one
Number one.
priority.
Well, what I'm saying is backup. I mean, until the monetary goes, you got food in a
No,
pantry saved.
don't wait till it goes.
Okay.
Why would you, why do that, right? Why not only not be 10 steps ahead of the curve, but you said smart, so intelligence was in there, but now let's add the second ingredient, ingredient in the equation, morality.
Okay.
If people were moral, they wouldn't participate in a scam. That makes you a scammer, especially in a zero-sum game. Let's say we just gave everybody the knowledge that we just shared so far up to this point in the session. All of a sudden, every single person who's alive today knows that they're participating in a zero-sum game. That means for any bit of being comfortable in this monetary structure, it has to be on the back that somebody else is cold, hungry, and disease, sick, and dying. That's the only way in this structure. Somebody has to be, it's on their backs. The only moral thing to do then is get the hell out of that, if you're a moral person. Now, if you don't give a shit that it's on the back, well, then keep going, right?
Well, like you said, it's going to collapse anyway. Eventually, it's going to collapse, and you're going to be shafted. You know,
But
you're going to have to.
But the morality should be the first priority.
Yourself, learn.
Yes,
Get away from it.
Take responsibility for yourself if you're a moral individual, because I guarantee you, even if you put the morality aside, the consequence of participating in a disease-based system is not going to, you're not going to escape from it. It's going to eat you. How does it eat you? Because of all the things that happens in a superficial scarcity environment, such as when profit is the focus, look where morality goes out of the equation. All of a sudden you got all these toxic things going on at the end. We're really deep in it right now. All of a sudden putting chemicals in food makes perfect sense. Why? Because it costs less to produce food that doesn't have that shit in it.
So basically,
it's not about what's healthy for you and your ingest. You think these people who are deciding what goes in the corporate Shreddies and cornflakes box have any ounce of shred about the morality of what they're doing to anybody's health?
Like fluoride.
Fluoride, good example. Yeah, of course not. It's about profit. It's about surviving in this Ponzi scheme. That's what you have to do that eventually, because the amount of superficial wealth gets skimmed off the top day by day by day. It's less and less and less. So now you got to start doing all these immoral, crazy competition-based things just so that you can make it to the next day, to the end of the week. And it doesn't matter where you are in this system, that's the case, corporate hierarchy or not. That's the basis for the genocide that's going on. The genocide is being perpetrated by the people. The people are doing it to themselves. So anybody who's listening to this, you think you got it made, you're sitting back in your middle class house or whatever it is, nice and comfortable, you got heat and this and that. If you're doing it because you're okay in the monetary system, it's at the demise of somebody else and ultimately yourself too, because it's toxic.
All right, I have another question. Since this is the Ponzi scheme, which we know it is, if the people are pushing this, like our oppressors, they too will get hurt at the end as well. We all hurt.
Yes, nobody wins.
So apparently they don't know what's going to happen to them. They're just as naive as we are.
No, they do, because they designed this intentionally to do this. They know exactly what. So, and you hit the nail on the head. What's the solution for them to that? They jump ship to another game at the moment
And
of
it
implosion.
starts over. And it
Yes.
starts over.
And continue the cycle.
The CBDC, central bank digital currency. Okay.
That'll be the next phase, most likely. Yeah, right. Except, now to have it more under control at this point, right? And again, it's all about the control and the money to get to the next phase. Well, we got to make sure we control the amount that you're spending. How do we do that? We digitalize it. How do we do that? We digitalize the product. What product? Humans are the product.
That's when genocide comes in. I understand. I got it.
Because
Which
in the
is already
stores now, I'm sorry.
which has already been taking place all along. Genocide is not just starting; it's been well in effect for a long time already. Go ahead, Sly.
Exactly. And what I noticed too, in the stores now, we don't have cashiers. We don't have
Yeah.
cashiers to help us.
Yeah, it's always a slow conditioning, right? They don't just typically do it overnight. They get to a
Right.
boiling point, right? And then by design, they say, they got it all calculated, and they have computer models and the whole 9 yards. And the computer goes beep beep. Okay, it's ready. The sentiment to the public is ripe enough, and so they go, okay, time to roll out the next phase of the drama: problem, reaction, solution. Here we go. And all of a sudden, you got Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction, right? That's all that is.
Pandemic.
A
Pandemic. Right.
distraction.
It's just
A distraction.
that's it, right? It's the kickoff to the next one to create the problem, to justify the real thing that they're looking to do, which is what the solution will implement, the next phase in controlling the monetary system and keeping the scheme going. Have at her, vets. Not you, rights. Vets. All the vets who are listening to this. Keep it going. Mercs.
Missionaries. I'm sorry.
Missionaries, right. Because people don't stop and think. As I was saying at the beginning of this, the number one foundational thing which makes people the culprit of their own demise here is the lack of responsibility for awareness, to become aware. If you're participating in a system, you ought to take the initiative to learn the ins and outs of the system so you understand how it works and how it functions, at least for the very basics, to make sure you're not participating in a scam. Well, now, who would have thought that something the government would have implemented or imposed upon us that we all put our faith and trust in would be a scam? Well, when you see it now, what a dumb thing to not think. In fact, it has to be, because that's all the government is to begin with, is an imaginary fictional scam, just like the monetary system. It's an extension of that. Now, we'll get to the other video as well, which is, again, explaining the same things, but more in the cartoon fashion. Excellent job. Love this one. But just a little bit to clear what I don't want people to get confused about. And Wrights was touching this on just a minute ago as well. None of these videos are perfect, and I find the ones that are as close as possible to showcase, the truth and the reality of what's going on. But sometimes there's still mishaps in them because mostly it's hard to find any of them that really have a holistic overview of the entire spectrum of things. So in this video, for example, you heard him talk about quote unquote real money being gold and silver and this and that. That's just another distraction too.
All those videos are still controlled.
Yes. And but let's elaborate. Why is that a distraction? It's a distraction because all of these are unnecessary means of conducting agreements with people used to keep somebody else parasitically in control. In other words, we just don't need any of it. Well, how and why don't we need any of it? Because none of the rest of nature needs any of it, and we can cooperate with each other without any of that. We don't need any of that to cooperate with each other. We never did. We were just we knew how to do that when we were kids. It's instinctual in us. Cooperation is instinctual. We know how to do this, and most of our lives we're still actually doing it a lot more than we realize and think. But the monetary system and the idea behind capitalism and this whole stuff was intentionally indoctrinated into us to distract us from doing that exact thing. From what? From cooperating.
That's why they killed Jesus. I mean, deleted Jesus. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say killed.
Right. If you look at the monetary system from this view now, can you see the competition aspect in it? And how heavy the competition aspect is? If it's a zero-sum game, and in order for, it's dog eat dog, in order for you to eat today, it means somebody else has to go hungry. That's a pretty heavy, intense, competitive environment, wouldn't you think?
Everybody's trying to win.
Yeah, everybody's trying to even survive, right? And it gets more and more heavy, that intense competition by design every single day.
It's happening today, right now.
Right. And there's no way around that in the system because structurally it's designed mathematically for it to do that, as you could see by the explanations in these videos here. So what is the distraction from cooperation? Competition itself. Competition, it's a yin and yang. It's the opposite side of cooperating. Therefore, you have your answer to the basis of the disease. Stop competing and just cooperate. Learn how to cooperate with each other, work together, and the rest just starts to fall in place. There are still challenges, yes, there will be. But with cooperation, boy, do you have strength to mitigate that. Holy crap. Do you ever? And that's what they don't want people to think about.
But Nude, every time you get people to cooperate, there's always one that wants to go against the grain.
So what? Keep going with that.
No, I was hoping you did.
Well, you brought up that point for a reason, so go ahead.
The reason why I brought up that point is because every time, I mean, it's happened in history. Every time people try to organize, hey, sweetie, good to see you. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, guys. It's a neighbor of mine for 16 years. She keeps telling me she's gonna call me. But what I was saying is, history has shown every time people try to organize, gain community, work together. There's always it's always somebody that wants to go against it, that wants to say, well, no, it shouldn't be done this way. And then an infiltrator. How about that? There's always an infiltrator.
Sure. Yeah. A rogue, right? Or a mole.
Right, yeah.
All right. Well, let me address that. First of all, history hasn't always shown us that. Maybe the history that we've been taught by the corporate world to fear us out of going in that direction has showed us that. But let's give that the benefit of the doubt and say that that's the case. What I was saying just a moment ago is a solution. Learn to cooperate. That's a learning curve. Part of learning to cooperate means learning who to work with, who to choose your allies with. Can you cooperate with somebody who doesn't want to cooperate?
But you don't know that until things start getting good and everything, and then they scheming and plotting on in the backyard.
No. It doesn't work like that in the nature. If you got somebody who's cooperative, things are good. If things are good, it's because people are cooperating in the nature. It's not the other way around. That's not how that works. Nature doesn't have room for bullshit like the corporate world does. Believe me, not even close. That's what another thing that they don't want people to realize. Okay, but in order to get somewhere, period, with an ally, you have to have a true ally. So back to my question: can you cooperate with somebody who doesn't want to cooperate? Anybody want to take a shot at the answer to that?
Can you? I mean, look at the past 2 years. Wait. Look at the past 2 years with certain people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a straight, easy answer. Can you
how's the
cooperate with somebody who
cooperation
doesn't want?
going? No.
No, of course not. It's obvious. You can't. You need two people who are in agreement to be in agreement. You can't have, it's just straightforward math. 1 + 1 is 2, right? You can't have someone who, what you have when in a situation where you got one person who wants to cooperate and the other person doesn't, and the first person wants to belt the second person over the head to cooperate. Now you have tyranny. That's the same thing. So
And another distraction.
And another distraction, of course. So then what is the answer to this? It's very simple. Work with the willing, ignore the ignorant, and enjoy the benefits of cooperative function with those who are willing. And sometimes that might be just you, especially when you're first getting started. But yeah, that's getting into the segueing out, right? Like finding allies is a huge part of getting out of this corporate nightmare. Huge part of it. Finding true allies, not bullshit lip service people. So, but that's the key. You find true allies, people who are sincere, and the ones who are inauthentic and insincere can go fuck themselves. Who cares? That's their problem. You got a responsibility in life to take care of yourself. You have realized this nightmare of a corrupt system that you definitely don't want any part of and nothing to do with whatsoever. You've got no time to waste in life.
Right. That's what I was trying to.
Just on a moral basis only,
That's what I was trying to explain to Joe yesterday. Like, it being certain places is just a waste. You know what I mean? It's like, why be there to benefit them when it's a waste for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
You understand where I'm going? Because yesterday Joe was saying, what's wrong with being timed out for that person to make $100 or something like that? And I'm like, yo, I don't play like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be the butt of you getting $100. You understand what I'm saying? Just
of
for
course
fun.
I do. Of course I do.
No, you're not gonna humiliate me so you can get rich. Nah.
Yeah, different views, and he likes to get into that kind of stuff, and it doesn't bother him. He's got a different mindset, so that's where he's at with that, and that's cool. To each their own when it comes to that. But when it comes to this specific participation here, okay, I literally just divulged that the monetary system is a scam. And from a moral perspective, I would reflect to ask the question, how many dollars do you got in your wallet? How many digits do you have in a bank account? Let's start to think about that. And ask yourself, what am I participating in here? What is that for me if I'm a moralistic person? Here, I'm not going to sugarcoat, as I normally don't do. We've got billions of scammers competing with each other. That's the civilianry. That's the truth. Ignorance is no excuse, right? Or naivety even, especially at this stage of the game. And that's the truth. That's the reality. And so knowing that, again, right, it's like, all right, from a moral perspective, I have a high standard and a high bar when it comes to who I interact with and engage with, especially when I have personal relations with people. And the first rudiment of it, the first foundational layer is honesty and integrity. Authenticity, honesty, and integrity. And the bar is impeccably high when it comes to that. And that's me. I hold that standard myself, and I don't see any justice for me to hold it any less for individuals that I'm involved with as well. This would be the same thing. Apply that mentality when it comes to the monetary system here, knowing what it is. You might start to see why it was very easy for me to hoof the hell out of the system as fast as I can. I was already going in that direction anyway because I couldn't stand it. It's like, holy fuck, looking around and going, everybody's so entangled and enslaved in this, and mostly are completely clueless about it. I can see how toxic it is, but before I even understood it top to bottom yet, I was already going in that direction. But when I learned about that, I was like, holy shit. And then you got these people, right, that like brag about their numbers and shit. And you realize the only thing people are actually like, they think they're so intelligent, right? Because they made money and they made these businesses and win at investments and stuff like that. They think they're so intelligent. Intelligent at what? Figuring out how to collect a couple more digits of paper? There's nothing intelligent about this whatsoever. The irony is they wear a noose around the neck. Clueless. It's called a bow tie or a necktie. That's a symbol of that for a reason. But anyways, let's get back to the second video. This is the cartoon one. And again, it will explain stuff we were just focused on. A little bit different, this one, though. A little bit more...
I'm going to get...
How should we say? Entry level. Try and cater to the different ways people learn. This one's a little bit more kind of fun and entertaining as well. Very, very well done. Very well produced.
I want to say hi to Prairie because she wrote to me. I couldn't write back to her, but hello, Prairie.
And actually, I shouldn't rush into it. So you were having your questions there, right? Which were excellent. Did that cover the answer to them? And also, did you have any more questions so far about that?
No, you're explaining it really good. Just that every time you keep saying something, I'm thinking, well, the only thing that's going to help us out is going back to nature, and just the hell with the monetary system. It's broken. I
No,
mean, like you said,
you
you
were
get free
right.
food. Go on.
You were right up until the last part. It's not broken.
The
As you
monetary,
can,
well, I mean, to them, yeah, it's not broken to them, but it's going to be broken to us, though, because we
no,
believe that. Go on.
no, it's not broken at all. As you can see, it's designed. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do.
Fall.
It's working. It's working. Yes, it's working flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
It's working exactly as it was designed and implemented.
Well, like you said before, you order an apple, there's no ingredients, just pure apple, and you don't put a charge card to it. Just grab an apple from a tree and eat it.
Right. And that's getting into the solutions, and the real solutions, of course, which just logically it's obvious. But yeah, the monetary system is not broken at all. In fact, it is working ingeniously, flawlessly, as it was intended to do. Top to bottom. It's running its course perfecto.
For them, yeah, to do the CBDC. For us, we're going to be shafted. That's bullshit.
Well, just put that aside for a second. Just look at what I'm talking about is the structure itself. Okay.
Yeah.
The structure itself is a Ponzi scheme.
Yes, it is. I
It's
see
not
it.
like something it accidentally evolved into and got broke somewhere, but it was supposed to be something else. No, it was never supposed to be something else. This is the way it was supposed to be from inception. It was designed this way specifically, intentionally, to be this way.
We got some sick people.
Now you're talking. You definitely do. I have another meme that expresses capitalism is a sadist's wet dream. You know what a sadist is?
Yeah, a person who loves pain.
No. A person who's sadistic. You know what sadistic
Oh,
means?
mean, crazy, nuts, painful.
A little bit different than that.
For pain to other people.
Kind of, yeah. You're getting closer. Let me just look up the actual definition. Sadistic.
Person who don't give a shit.
Deriving pleasure from inflicting pain, suffering, and humiliation onto others. That's the first definition that comes up. Okay, so people who like to, here's an elaborate explanation. A sadist is someone who enjoys inflicting pain on others, sometimes in sexual sense. Sadist like seeing other people hurt. A sadist is the opposite of a masochist who enjoys being in pain. A sadist is all about hurting others, usually to get off sexually. However, this is a word about more than just sex. So basically just people who love driving they drive some sort of pleasure out of seeing other people suffer and causing suffering to other people.
Wow.
Definitely sick in the head, right? Like just.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
so it's that type of mentality that designed this system. And this is what hundreds of millions, billions of people are participating in every day. And so what I'm bringing to the attention is the full awareness of this. And that's what I was saying earlier. At this point, once you have full awareness of, the only type of mindset at this point who is going to continue to stay participating in this system then is somebody who's sadistic. Somebody who's mentally crazy. Somebody whose morality is what morality?
All right, can you put it this way? The person that's doing this is sadistic. The people who are loving it are masochists.
Something like that. Maybe a little bit. But yeah, because the people the people themselves aren't really trying to do it to hurt other people. But nonetheless, when you change that naivety and bring that out of the equation to full awareness, now at this point, you know. So now that you know, if you have anything other than full inclination to do whatever you can to get off dependency and out of it as fast as you can, just if nothing for the sake of morality, then you got sadistic problems. You got sadistic issues. You have to then. Maybe even psychopathic, right? Nonetheless, sick, right? It's the system buy-in for the sick, the sick and twisted.
Damn.
There's no other. There's no escaping this, right? There's no.
There's
Yeah.
no, unless you go strictly to Mother Nature. Just wash your hands out and leave.
That's right. There's no justifying the. Now, of course, you got to feed yourself, right? Again, it's not like when you're pit trapped, right? You're in a conundrum. It's like, holy fuck. Well, this is all I know, right? I haven't learned how to, fend for myself outside the system and whatnot. And that's a terrible predicament to be in. That, and I was too, right? I very much was. But I wasted no time and made no excuses, especially after I found the shit out. And that's what a moral, sane person is going to do. They're going to do that anyway. Just if you now add the other aspect, right? We talked about the logical, intelligent aspect. That was the first thing you mentioned, and then the second thing I mentioned was the moral aspect. There's a third aspect, which actually it all ties in together, but it's the one that's very much at the forefront for me. Health. There is absolutely nothing healthy about being in this system. Nothing. And the ultimate act of irresponsibility or responsibility is centered upon how responsible one is with their health. Coupled with morality, which is what they're doing onto others. Are they harming other people, right? With the intelligence. Am I living wisely? Am I choosing wise things? That's how it all ties in together. You can see obviously now, you're certainly never going to be taught about any of this in corporate school. It wouldn't make any sense, would it?
I heard as a kid, I'd say, "What are you talking about?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It don't make no sense. It makes sense now what you're saying because I can see everything.
Right.
But in the corporate world, where you get indoctrinated, no, you got to be a good little bee, and you work hard. You get benefits when you get older, and where you can retire. And I don't see shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
So, had I would have known what you would have known, I would have prospered in having a big garden, having fruit trees and just enjoying life and not being controlled by a monetary system, not listening to the government, shut the TV off, throw the sucker away, and just enjoy my life.
Right. Do you think the animals out in the wild live a life that feels impoverished?
Well, they live the good life.
Right.
They live like they're supposed to live.
Right. And how much is there a monetary system amongst those in the wild?
No. No whatsoever.
No.
And what about capitalism, the pursuit of ownership? Does the rest of nature have this aspect of things?
No.
No. That's the last thing. That's not even the last thing. It's not even in their forte of contemplation whatsoever. And yet, here you have the rest of the nature without those things in very much harmonious states and strong and healthy. I mean, you look at these wild animals, right? They're like lean and thick and muscular, and just endurance is incredible. But the
And they can
human
always,
being, go ahead.
I was going to say, they can always eat, drink fresh water, whatever they want to do, they can do for free.
Yeah, for free. And here you have the human being, the one that thinks it's quote unquote top of the food pyramid, right? Top of the food chain. The one that thinks it's intelligent and smart. Is going to force his fellow man, his own species, to earn a living?
Let's go beyond that a little bit. More just earning a living, killing people for a living by that monetary system. You
Well,
know
that's what that means.
Stealing.
That's what that means.
Yeah, it's just, wow.
When all you have to do is cooperate, like the rest of nature. There's nothing to earn.
And fight in this war so we can steal stuff.
Fight in war so that you can justify the bullshit. Justify the use case to have all these superficial made up enslavement constructs. And of course, you know, war is actually nothing just but a entertainment ritual set forth by rich elitists for the purpose of enjoying the way that they call their herd and perform rituals. That's what wars are.
The culture, huh? The culture.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense what I just said to everybody?
Zero.
You cut out rights.
Let's hear. Makes sense.
That's what they are. The crazy people sit on a bench. Got it. I had a circle there. Am I back?
Yeah. Huh?
Okay.
I didn't hear you take off.
So whoever's the decision makers, you know, they have these plans, and then they throw darts at a map, and they go, ding, okay, that's the one. That's the invasion land, right? So then they send the 2, 3, 4 sides or whatever it is to go in on the battlefield and have a bloodbath. And they're sitting there and they're watching, and just like, to them, it's like watching wrestling, except to the death. And they love that, right? They love it, especially because you're doing it for them. Whether you know that or not is irrelevant. They totally get off on that. Look how loyal these naive sheep slaves are. They're going to kill each other for us. Holy shit.
So it's a living purge. I mean, it's a purge.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what it is. It's they call it culture cleansing. That's their terminology for it, right? It's just a fancy way of saying calling the herd. It's one of their tactics to call the herd, and also perform their crazy rituals at the same time, which have other use cases. Now, everything that I'm saying here, as much as I'm, you know, saying the fuckers who are narrative setting this and stage setting this, the sadistic minded individuals, they're not the true culprits here. They're not the true culprits. The true culprits are the people. Why? Because the people are the ones who are performing the actions.
The Rockefellers.
No. The Rockefellers aren't the people. The people are the people. I'm talking about the ones you call the troops, the ones you call the police, the ones us, right? It's us. We're doing it to each other. We're the culprits. We're the criminals.
May I add to this for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
It's an example like this, Slicey, is that we complain about the government, but we're doing it to ourselves. The reason why we're doing it to ourselves is because we vote these suckers in for over 30 years in the same doggone office.
You were right.
Why?
You're right up to the last part. That's not why we're doing it to ourselves. But you're right. We're doing it to ourselves.
Well, I mean, it's just, I mean, any common sense, you wouldn't vote at all. You know what I mean? You just walk away.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying that to everybody else that, you're complaining, but yet you're voting these people in for 30 years. They don't leave office. Why vote? Leave.
Yeah, I just posted something on Facebook yesterday about that. Somebody was like, so and so for 2024. I was like, yo, keep voting for war, keep voting for genocide, keep voting for dictatorship, because that's all you're doing.
We're doing it to ourselves.
Keep participating in the competitive system, and you are the corruption. In any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter where your participation is. You are the corruption.
If we didn't participate, there'd be no oppressors on us. They wouldn't know what to do.
People are oppressing each other. The oppressors aren't the people in government. And that must be understood. They're just the narrative setters. Who's the oppressors then? And when I say that, I don't consider the police and the military, they're technically in government, but I don't.
We oppress ourselves.
We oppress ourselves. Yes, we do it to ourselves because we obey. We're obedient. We follow the narrative, and then we do the dirty work. How do we do it? We put on costumes and we whip each other. And then if we're not wearing the costumes, what else do? We bootlick and we advocate for that and we allow it. And we got millions of people in cages right now for the heinous act of smoking a herb. And we're okay with that.
Now, like you said before, we don't actually have freedom. We have freedom of rage. They allow us to go so far, Well, I need a passport to go across seas. I need a driver's license to drive. What the?
Those who are obedient to this system have free range, and you deserve only free range. Because what are you doing? Participating in a system of free rangery. Of course, the result is going to be free rangery. Think about that the next time the thought of an illegal coming into the country crosses the mind. What illegalness? That's free rangeism. It's nobody's business where somebody puts their fucking feet.
They gave it a label so you can be angry at them.
Exactly. There it is. The scapegoatism, right? Remember we were talking about that earlier, rights? As long as we have an emotional reaction and state to it, either it's anger or fear or whatever, blaming.
There's one thing about that though, Nude. I don't mind them coming in, but if you break the law, you kill somebody, you should be killed immediately. None of this bullshit, Oh no, let them go, let them go, let them go.
Well, you got people like that in the government. What are you saying? Like you got people like that already doing it.
Well, I know that, but I mean, they're getting away with it. But I'm saying that if you find out somebody they actually kill, they should just kill the son of a bitch right then and there.
I'm right, but I'm gonna say two things to that. Whose responsibility is that?
For what?
take care of that?
Ours, right?
Who else is
Is it our responsibility?
right? So that's the first thing, right? Is that's what we're not doing. We're delegating that responsibility away to what? Who? The people who are going to oppress us? Well, that's not very intelligent, right? And we've been trained to think to do that, right? Of course, by design again. That's the brainwashing. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, remember, when you got one finger forward, you got three pointing back at yourself. So we got to be very careful here. And if we're going to stand on the righteous stage of moral and just and honesty and integrity and all that stuff, we can't be killing nobody while we're still participating in that friggin' system, because you are the criminal.
Oh, God, have pity if I ever find somebody hurting an old child. I'd stick this dot. Well, never mind. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I'd say the same thing about hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a child. Hurting a child, an adult, an animal, fucking plant. You know.
Exactly.
I get pissed off when I see somebody kill a mosquito.
Well, I don't know about that. They
I
love
was
me.
getting ready to say. I was getting ready to say the same thing.
Yeah, they love my ass. Oh.
Yo, they love me too. I think if I catch them, I'm gonna kill them.
All right, maybe there's a little bit of a, you know.
But
How about a
wait,
fly
why
then?
is?
How about a fly?
But wait, but Nudie, why can't you never see a mosquito bite you? Why you can't never catch a mosquito?
I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
I've never caught a mosquito, yo. They bite me and then they go away and they come back and bite me again.
Yeah, they're clever.
They are, aren't they? Just like the
Yeah.
government.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Maybe there's a little bit of self-defense that is involved with mosquitoes. You know, I'm not really a favor of them as well. I've had traumatizing experiences growing up in Winnipeg with them. But okay, different discussion. How about a fly?
I'll kill them suckers in a minute too. I don't land on my food. They land in shit and they land in your food now.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm the same way. It could be landing on shit and landing on my food.
You say something like a bird or something or a spider. Wow.
You guys got your morals all up backwards, upside down, dyslexic.
You mean to tell me you would eat you wouldn't kill a fly when you're eating something that's landing in your food?
No, it happens all the time. I eat outside a lot. Oh yeah, sure.
Where you live, there's not a lot of shit.
Yeah,
or not a lot of people's shit.
Yeah, I would say that. But either way, that's what flies kind of eat off of, right? Anyways, okay, we're getting sidetracked a little bit.
Yeah, we are. Go on.
Are we almost off topic yet?
Bordering, getting there. Okay, so but back to the system, something that has no dispute. There's no room for any, there's no two ways about it. The system itself, intentionally designed to be so, is abusive. Is it not?
Preach, brother, preach.
This must mean that anybody who's participating in it is participating in abuse. Reality check yourselves with this. Anybody who's participating in an abusive system is participating in abuse. Period.
Gotta buy the bread.
More than just bread, it's working your ass off for nothing. You know what I mean? people working 2 jobs just to try to make ends meet, and they still
Got
can't
to
make
heat
it.
the house.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
all abusive.
happens. Right. That's what happens when you participate in a system of abuse. Don't you reap what you sow in life?
Yeah, I'm sick.
So, of course, the consequences of participation in the system of abuse is going to be abuse on you and everybody else. It's just basic 1 + 1 is 2 logic math. Is this sane?
No. Crazy.
So now we just segued from abuse to sanity. So now we have abusive, insane people. Of course, abuse is not sane, is it?
No.
For anybody to do.
Well, you're right about one thing, and I'm thinking about this, is that, like you said, someone's got to hurt, and people are hurting right now. I mean, there's people out in the streets. There's no food for a lot of them. The kids are, yeah, you're right. I see it.
It has
We're
to be that
hurting,
way.
right? Look at our health.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm hurting. You're hurting. Sick.
Even in a, again, it doesn't matter where you are in this system. You're hurting. I don't care if you're at the very top of the pyramid. And they implemented the class ideology to implement scapegoat, divide, and distraction tactics so that you don't see that everybody's hurting and you get to blame the hurt on the other classes. And this is what the classes do to each other, right? I guarantee you the rich are looking at the 2 classes below going, these fuckers. Look, they always want us to clean up their messes for them. I can't take it anymore. I just wish they would grow up so that they would stop asking us to rule over them. There's a lot like that, right? I'm tired of being a babysitter. Doesn't matter where you are in that system.
Well, like you also said, the costume deal, you see it on like a president. They talk about medical. You see all kinds of doctors. They could be plumbers. They could be anything, but they're all dressed in, white suits. You see advertisement on, starting off like on news. They have the national flag, beautiful scenery. They're not actually showing the real America. You know what I mean? It's all farts.
There is no real America.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's, so people can understand what I'm talking about. But it's fake. It's all false.
America is fake.
Huh?
America is fake.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. The name of it. The whole thing, the whole system is fake.
Correct.
The government, the senators, the laws, it's all garbage. It's all fake. It's nothing.
Right. It's all pretend. It's all theater.
Yeah. For control.
It only
Hollywood.
Hollywood. It only exists in the minds of the imaginations of the delusional men and women who believe, trust, and faith. It certainly doesn't exist in your cat's brain. Your cat or your dog doesn't think about what job do I need to get? How much money do I need to pay? I got to pay the rent. I got to buy the food. I got to vote harder. I got to pray. I got to go to church. Got to pay my taxes. I got to get married.
You forgot the one point.
Which one?
Making the babies. That's fun. Go on.
So they think about that. Instinctually a lot. They sure do.
Yeah. But you can punish being married too. You know that? Now you're in a higher bracket, so now they can take more money out of you.
That's because it's a business arrangement, which is fake.
Yep.
Marriage is not real. It's a phony business contract that is unhealthy, not aligned with nature.
Scam. It's a scam.
It's
like
part of
everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's a scam.
Something else for them to regulate and say that they played hero in your marriage.
Right.
They helped you in your marriage.
Right. And just the idea behind it, even it just till death do us apart. What? What? That's not healthy. That's not human nature. Are we getting sidetracked? Maybe. But it correlates,
Oh,
right?
you're doing right. You're doing right. You're hitting our spots. You are. You're just saying, how it is. What a scam it is.
You are on topic. You're not going off
Yeah.
topic.
No.
Easy does it. You're good.
Yeah, you're doing it.
It's all a scam. I forget to use that word too much, and I remember after panels are over. But so I appreciate you saying that word. It doesn't hit the nail on the head any better than that. Really, it's just top to bottom, all the way thick and thin throughout. All of it is nothing but a complete scam. Lie, fiction, pretend, made up scam. All of it.
So we can go along with it as long as we believe that what you said, the truth, the what was those 3 words? Trust.
Belief,
and trust.
trust, and faith.
There you go. See, as long as we follow all of that with them, they got us.
That's correct. That's the foundation of indoctrination. Indoctrination is nothing but a synonym for belief. Belief is nothing but a synonym for the end of truth. Lie. That's all it is. Truth that requires no belief, trust, or faith. Doesn't. Truth is on its own. You don't need to believe in the truth. It's just the truth. But lies, they require all 3 of those things. You need to believe in lies. You need to trust in lies. You definitely need to have faith in lies.
Yeah, because they say the doctor said, the president said,
Right?
Congress said,
Don't you
everybody
dare
else said.
question. Don't you dare
Right?
question. Don't question. Just have faith.
Yeah.
Just
Tighten your
believe.
belts up. Tighten your belts up. Well, we're not going to do it, but you got to tighten your belts up. Yeah.
And the classic, trust us. Right?
Yeah. Or if they want to get something across, we have to do this by freedom. There's no we, it's them. It's a big farce. Fake.
But then
Scam.
they teach you, and you do. They teach you to do it amongst each other, and you do. You do this belief, trust, and faith thing amongst yourselves. That means you're scamming and corrupting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truth.
We do
And
the hate amongst ourselves. We do the hate with
correct.
each other.
And you're teaching your children. You're
Yeah.
You're doing the indoctrination to your children, and you're doing it to yourself too at the same time. And then you send your children off to the state to further that indoctrination. When you know damn well it just happened to you, what are you doing? It just abused the shit out of you for 18 years, maybe longer if you kept going, and traumatized you. And now you're going to send your children there? And you're not corrupt or anything. Are you kidding me? Where's the morality going on here?
While all along you're teaching your children not to lie, not to steal.
Not to steal, right? It's the ultimate insane hypocrisy, isn't it? How about this one? Don't talk to strangers. Then at 5 years old, you got to go in a sea full of strangers that you met all of a sudden, that you never met before all of a sudden.
Exactly. Yep.
And just give them your trust because, you don't know what else to do. I mean, wow. Talk about setting the stage for trauma. It happened to me. I'll never forget that day. I was very confused, right? I mean, they taught me to trust. So I did. They're my parents after all. Right? And then they tell me don't talk to strangers. And then they send me off without much explanation. First day of kindergarten, I'm looking around and there's all these kids there and adults, and I never met any. And then this bell rings, and I'm like, I'm going, what the hell? I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. I can't talk to anybody.
Those
They're
are the
all
ones.
strangers.
Those are the ones they wanted you to trust. What? You ain't catch on when you
But
got there. They introduced you to these strangers that they wanted you to trust.
But there was no explanation. They left me at that. Don't talk to strangers. And I'm looking and I'm going, these are all strangers. So I'm shaking, right? I'm shaking. I haven't even been abused for any time yet, and already I'm shaking. First day of kindergarten, confused as hell. I didn't know what to do. And then the lineups and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Isn't it funny how the first thing that you hear, probably the same with you, at school to initiate the start is the fucking bell. The signal of the military initiation, isn't it? To line up, to follow, to obey.
The whistle.
The whistle, the corporate clock, right?
And the national anthem and then Lord's Prayer.
And it goes on from there, right?
Yeah, that's
so.
Right.
So this is the next part of the whole system, is the entire thing as well, top to bottom, is the militarization of civilianry to make them incognizant to the militarization that's happening to them.
And then they want you to call the police those things, sergeants.
Yes.
What do you? Yeah.
Yes, and they wear the same uniforms, it's just different color, right?
Clown costumes.
Yes. Same military gear, right? I mean, it's all the same thing. And we had to wear uniforms at school. I went to private school, I mean, it's all just, and even if that wasn't the case, just obedience, right? Obedience. Don't question obedience. Just do as you're told. And they hammer the intelligence out of people at a young age, right? The genius out of people. They just squash that. And so you end up having this result of a traumatized human with arrested development, intellectual arrested development, that can barely, see past the end of their nose if they're lucky. And that's by design. Why? There is no better slave than the slave that is incognizant to their slavery and follows the direction to do the cage work and the captivity work on behalf of the owner.
I have something else I'd like to say here, which just dawned on me. These elections, when you have to vote and everything else, these people who are running, we don't pick these people. They pick themselves.
Of course.
You know what I mean? We have nothing, and then all we got to do, we got to sit in front of the TV set and listen to them bicker back and forth. I never picked these people in the first place. How did they get in there? So
We don't pick them.
No, we don't.
We don't pick. Yeah, we don't pick them. They're picked. They're picked because they're trained to do what they're told. So
Right,
they're
yeah.
picked by somebody else.
Right. That's it.
They're just Muppets following orders, but there's something a little deeper than that going on here that hardly ever gets asked or looked at. Why would you want to pick one to begin with? Why do you want a ruler?
Because that's what we was taught. Nude, you keep forgetting we was taught that stuff.
That's it. That's going to be the justification. That's why you want that. You really want that?
I'm just saying.
So then, what's the real reason? What's the real reason? Why would anybody want a ruler? There is an answer.
Yo, one of my other YouTube friends said, some people need somebody to be in charge of them.
Nobody needs it. That's the excuse.
Thank you.
Well, then
That's
what's
the
the answer?
excuse to keep voting. That's the excuse to keep voting for, those things, right? Because
Or what?
some people need regulating.
What is it they really need? They don't need regulating, but they do need something. What is it?
Freedom. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Was that the right
they
answer?
could actually care less about that. They're all in
Okay.
favor of this other thing that you've heard the saying many, many times. Those who negate freedom for this other thing get and deserve neither. What is it?
I've never heard of it that I'm aware of.
I haven't smoked this morning yet, Nudie. I'm not not there.
What does
Educate,
what does
educate
the
me.
government project that it's going to do for people?
Save us.
Save them, protect them.
Right.
Right? They need to feel safe and protected.
Well, that's why they create a lot of the situations so they can feel like heroes at the end.
Bingo.
And,
I like
and
that.
whose responsibility for safety and protection is it truly for an individual?
Us.
Their own. Their own. But as
Us?
long as I believe, you're right, us,
Okay.
ourselves, their own, right? Your own. It's your
Okay.
own
Oh, okay. I
responsibility.
hear you now. Okay. I didn't hear you before. All right.
But people will settle for the delusion that they're safe and protected over over the other side, because the other side means that the responsibility is ours, and that is the ignorance. The ignorance to what? Responsibility. Government is there to cater to the delegation of responsibility outwards in disfavor to taking self-responsibility. It's either self-governing or they govern you. Govern means control, right? Control the mind.
And we're supposed to be self-governed.
In fact,
We're not.
by
Go ahead.
default, there's no getting around it. You are always self-governing, even when you delegate the responsibility outwards. You chose to do that. You can't get away from self-governing. It's the joke is on the people more than anything else. They're kidding themselves. You can't get away from it. You can't pretend that it's somebody else's responsibility to spoon feed you. Are you kidding? That's what people do. And then they bitch and they moan and they complain about the cookie crumbs that the government was supposed to give them, but they're not. Oh my God, these immigrants are getting all these little cookie crumbs that I was supposed to get. Fools. You fell for it.
Yep, because you wasn't supposed to get none of it.
The only thing
You had
that
to
you're
work.
thinking,
You had to slave.
you're chasing rainbows. You're chasing fictions, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And every amount of energy and attention that you give towards that, you're neglecting self-responsibility in favor of that still. So you are the corruption. You're being the corruption. You're the culprit. You're the criminal. You're doing it all to yourself.
How can a government
You
can't even protect itself from an what was that? No, I'm sorry. September. What was that? No, 9/11. No, January when they did that insurrection. They hit like little
that
babies.
was listen, that was planned, man. I don't care what nobody's
Oh, it
saying.
was.
That
Oh,
was
yeah, there's no
planned.
doubt about it. But I mean, they hit like babies though. But yet they're going to protect us. Shit, they ain't going to do nothing for us. It's all
They
fake.
don't have any responsibility to do
Right.
anything for us.
Exactly.
This idea that they're supposed to protect us is where you've got a mental derangement going on.
You're in your imagination. Just say it, Nudie. Go ahead. You can use those words. You're in your imagination if you believe that shit.
It's too soft. It's literally mental retardation,
Mhm.
right? It really is. It's This idea that somebody else is supposed to protect you somehow. Why? Because you said so? Where did people come up with this? I have no obligation to protect somebody. Why would somebody else? By default, right? Not all these other things they come up with to make it look like that it's legitimate, such as the monetary system, and well, they're hired and they're trained to protect and serve and all these kinds of stuff. That's all WWE scam fake. That's to make you think that. That's to make it look legitimate. And that's your first clue that it's not. When somebody has to try that hard and go to those distances, these extremes, right, to personify and portray legitimacy by wearing costumes and mandates. That's
I
you
haven't
don't have.
had a man. I haven't had a mandate in a while.
I'll
Vets,
be
are you
over then.
down?
I'll be over.
Okay.
I'll be over. I'll give you a mandate. But you don't answer your phone calls. Go on, dude.
That's how you know it's a scam, because anything that's authentic doesn't require anything extracurricular. It is on its own. It doesn't require any extra effort.
That's why I think people get tired of this bullshit. Like Slicey said, people are getting tired of it. They're
Some
seeing
are,
it.
some are because they're, the knot is being pinched hard enough. But
Some are, but most are afraid. Most are afraid to face the truth. You've been bamboozled. You need to wake up.
that's what it comes down to. It's all about. Remember what I was saying, where I got that bar standard high with the honesty factor? What it is. That's the reality, is that most don't want to be honest. And so my sentiment is, I have no sympathy with people who don't want to be honest. Why would I? Not
Exactly.
interested. I am not interested. You want to be a dishonest fuck? You go and do what you're gonna do. You deserve the consequence, and you need that consequence. We're getting to the real, depths of the reality of people and the psychology behind what we're really saying here is that 99% people are criminal minded and dishonest liars, and it's true. It'd be an interesting question if, now that we sort of looked at this deeper in the monetary system, what do you think if we were to somehow have a magic pill button and just snap our fingers right now, and everything that we just went over about the monetary system, suddenly everybody who's alive right now, all of a sudden just knew this and understood? How many do you think would turn their back on the system and walk away for just the morality aspect?
Honestly,
Not many.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not many. I'd say like 5%, maybe.
Because we're stuck
maybe
in it.
1%.
Because you got to eat, you got to keep warm.
Well, I'm
They
not
don't know how to
talking about. Yeah, I'm not talking about like in 2 seconds. I'm just talking about like.
Oh.
Of course, people have to learn how to function without it.
Everyone,
right?
most majority would leave it if they could.
You think so? I truly wonder. I'm not so sure.
Oh, it depends
how corrupt people are.
Yeah. How much you love your Big Mac.
It's an interesting to ponder, because now we're really getting to this thing here where you have to reflect on yourself and look around and go, these human beings that I'm surrounded by, how much of them are beast,
Well, I can honestly say, since I've been talking to you, I haven't had anybody talk to around here at all, other than my wife, you know. But I don't even bothered anymore. You know, I'm sick of it.
My view is when wickedness is left to implode in on itself, the only logical thing to do is get out of the way.
Oh, it's gonna
Right.
implode. Yeah, just let everybody fight with among each other and just stay there, watch it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Just go in another direction in life, right? It's like, to me,
Not
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 interesting.
meaning to get off the topic. Not meaning to get off the topic. I'm sorry. But that's what I was trying to tell Joe yesterday.
I think Joe knows. I really do. I really do. He's just not saying much, you know.
No. I'm talking about me with me being in certain places, putting up with certain things, and
Yeah,
Oh,
and
saying,
panels and stuff.
it's all in fun because they're benefiting. I'm not benefiting from it. They are.
well, that's why I don't go panel hopping. You know, I don't. I just try to get information much as I can off of other people. You know what I mean? And just not live videos, but just videos. You know what I mean? If it's interesting, I'll listen. If not, I just go someplace else. But I don't go hopping other places. Very rarely ever see me other than DJs.
Most of the places are caught up in the distraction. Distraction is only
Most of the places
interesting.
are the distraction. Most of the
Yes.
places are the distraction.
Yes.
I'm sick.
Distraction is only interesting to the distracted. That's it. Right? It's only interesting to those who are interested in the distraction.
There's
I
nothing
have
good
another.
out there. There's nothing good out there, dude. Seriously, there's nothing really good.
There
Everything
is,
you
but
hear,
there,
it's few and
there
far.
is, but yeah, it's diamonds in the rough. But
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right.
that's how it was for me, folks. Can you imagine going back in my time before the internet was really developed to anywhere near what it was, and starting from that place and having the inclination to find the answers to all this stuff we're talking about it now? I mean, it was rough. It was rough. And that's why I want to do the project and all this stuff that we're doing here, because it is so skimpy even right now, right? It's just so for people who the sincere minded, right, that wants to get out of it. It's very difficult for them. They have to go through that, especially like I was afforded the luxury because of the choices that I made. So at an early age, I was unentangled from the rat race, right? I've navigated through the monetary system and figured out the scheme and figured out, okay, I could get on this side at least. And so I afforded myself the luxury of time that 98% of the people entrapped in the Ponzi scheme don't get to have, right? So can you imagine being starting today like that and trying to work your way out from that position? Holy shit,
I think it was you, Nude, that told me if they would have instead of indoctrinating us in school, they could have told us how to survive with Mother Nature, how to make money like the big wigs do, how to depend on yourself, not government,
They
bullshit.
can't profit off of that. They cannot profit
That's
off
it.
of
Yeah,
teaching us
that's what
right.
it is. That's what it is right there. Yep, you hit it. That's it. Thank you.
If you want to have a slave, you can't teach them to be self-reliant. You have to teach them to be. What's the opposite of self-reliant?
Slave.
Dependent.
Dependable.
Dependent.
Yep.
Dependent. So you have to teach them dependency. And now just look at that, top to bottom, the whole entire corporate school system and everything you get taught and the way that the entire corporate world works. And tell me it's not all dependency and competitive based. Top to bottom. Whole thing. That's right. It's just the opposite side of the equation. So that's why, right? And again, you're not getting taught by your oppressor. Your oppressors are just recycling the textbooks. Okay. Somebody is writing the textbooks. That's all. And now the textbooks are being handed down to we the people in the corporate schools. And we the people are sending our children to the corporate school and getting we the people teachers to indoctrinate we the people children, whatever the fairy tales are in those textbooks. We're doing it. And then we're justifying it and say, well, we need this to be able to get a job and shit like that. Well, the narrative in those textbooks is to get a job. And we were taught to believe, right? Just believe in that. Have faith in it. The American dream. It's going to do you great. But you have to choose to fall for it. You have to choose to fall for the bullshit. And it's not justified at this point, and already wasn't long time ago. Why? Because it's perfectly healthy to make mistakes, right? None of us were born with all-encompassing wisdom and knowing it all. Not even close, right? Not even close. But we have the tools that we need to learn from our mistakes. We have memory, we have intelligence, we have instinct, we have intuition. And if we're just throwing that away and not using it, that's on us. At this point, and long ago, we ought to have known already. How many wars do we have to keep seeing? Who's dying in these wars?
Come on, Nude. You know wars are a scam too. That's a Ponzi scheme.
Of course. But what I'm saying is the learning, right? It keeps going on. It keeps happening. Why does it keep happening? It keeps happening because we, the people, choose to and make excuses and blame instead of take responsibility for it. That's why. Can't happen for any other reason. And this idea that some people think we got to change all the masses' minds so that, that's it doesn't work that way. Psychology of the human needs to make mistakes. That's just part of duality. That's the way it goes. But it's up to each individual if they want to learn from the mistakes. And if you haven't noticed, some people just don't want to learn from their mistakes. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, for the ones who do want to learn from their mistakes, they want to go in a better direction, now you have something you can work with. I figured that out, and that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm also here to say that I'm far from the only one who figured out, thank God. It was quite elating, as many people know. I went on several expeditions, 2 big ones, to seek out communities and people, find who else discovered this and what else did they learn and how do they live and what can I learn from them? What can they teach me? Wanted more wisdom, right? Lo and behold, I discovered there sure is. I'm far from the only one, and it was like, thank God we're leaving. I can't be the only one who sees this. That felt weird, And of course I wasn't. So a lot of people figured this out. A lot of people left. And most of them look back and they realize you can't force somebody who doesn't want to play a violin to learn to play the violin. So if most of humanity is off their rocker and they want to herd mentality off the bridge together, let them. And I don't blame them one bit, right? A lot of them would think I'm off my rocker to even be sitting here on a panel talking to individuals who haven't figured it out yet. But there's a reason. There's a reason. They didn't go through everything that I went through. and for the compassion of some other people. Meet, shake their hand and thank, and express my gratitude and appreciation. Some of them are not even here. They passed. But if it wasn't for their kindness and compassion to either live a little tidbit of information over here or a recording of their wisdom somewhere that I got to come across my path and learn from, I could very well still be way more behind in my understanding of what I learned and still entrapped in the system, you know. So it really helped immensely. I see the tremendous value in doing that. And so I'm compelled to continue that, shall we say, and enjoy the process. That's a lot of fun, right? I have a lot of fun with you guys. So I certainly will continue as far as we can. Help anybody who wants to. As Joe said, right? There's people who really truly want the information, and you know, they don't want to be brain dead. They do want to actually figure out, you know, how can I do better for myself and my family, and the good news is there's answers. There really is, and so we can share that wisdom and help people out. And the more we help out, the way I see it is this, the more we're just on the right side of nature's attrition and we help out ourselves, and we have stronger allies, healthier allies, and then we're better as a team on this side of the species, not the corrupt side of the species. The corrupt side is doing what it's going to implode, it's going to die. That's okay. Nature's attrition, it is what it is. Being objective, no judgment, right? That's a healthy thing. It's going to take its course one way or another. What's important is that we as individuals learn how to do what we weren't shown how to do, take responsibility for ourselves, recondition ourselves, heal ourselves, and then share the know-how of how to do that with anybody else who wants to go in that direction. That's what this is all about. So let's finish the last video, the cartoon.
Cartoons. Is this Porky Pig or what?
I got my screen share still on. Yeah. Do I have it on that one? Yes, I do. Okay. So just quick sound check.
It's good.
Okay. It almost sounds like the Walk and Talk with Lucy and Jeff intro. Jeff Berwick theme. All right. Final video for this class. Again, this is the more detailed overview of the monetary system and the structure and how it works, and the depths of why it is a scam and why people are shafted as they are participating.
The American dream. There's a reason they call it a dream. Who's there? Cock-a-doodle-doo, pal. No, 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 no! I don't have any more money! My job sucks right now, please! I'll have more money next month! You can't take my house!
Is that your signature?
Oh, okay, well, just help me work something out, okay? I mean, you said I'm a good credit guy, right? I mean, hey, wait! My dog is in there! No, don't take my dream! Oh, how did this happen? Hardman? Is that you? Been a long time since the 4th grade. Is that a time machine? There's no need to concern yourself with my stunning accomplishments. Best get in. There's not much time. I gotta go down to the bank and get my life back. They took everything. Oh, bank ain't gonna help you now. Towel in the trunk. Extra set of balls. Put them on. You're gonna need them. You're gonna get my dream back? No, pal. You are. I'm here to show you how.
Submitted for your approval. 1. First National Bank. What is a bank, you ask? A curious place where both space, time, and irony exist. And yet, don't.
Are you gonna be doing that the whole time?
Pay attention, pile. Exhibit A. Those who have come to deposit and safely store their earned monies. Exhibit B. Those who need to borrow said money for purposes unknown.
Hey, that's me!
Ergo, Exhibit C. The bank only has so much money in the vault to lend out to people such as you.
Hey, that's the guy. He took my house. Really screwing my vibe here, pal. Space-time continuum. He can't hear you. Just let me narrate. Now, where was I?
So you see, by the time he got to you, pile, his bank was out of money.
But he gave me lots of money and charged me a lot of interest.
Yes, that's the only way banks make money, by making debt loans. Debt equals money, pile. Remember that. Debt equals money. The more loans they make, the more money they make.
But if they don't have any money, then where did my money come from?
You're going to want to take a step back, pile.
Whoa! No way!
Yes way. And that's nothing.
Hey, buddy, need some money? They didn't do that. Oh, they did exactly that, pal. Remember, banks make money by making loans, by selling debt, even to bad credit risks. Yo, have some money, dude. Just sign here. Oh my gosh! They called it free money. Yeah, that's exactly what my loan guy told me. Free money. But it ain't free. The worst part was offering money to people who don't even need it. People, pal, like you. You're right. I didn't need him. I was happy here. I didn't need it. Why's he sad? He's making all that money. Shh. He's thinking. Now wait for it. Now wait for it. Bingo. See, the bank is loaned to everyone in town, but to make more money, they have to loan even more. More? How much money do they need? More. Whoa, what's that? Behold, a black horse riding. Credit card. Wow, look. I mean, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. What now? Now, with power with all this money, we might as well party. Oh, this is awesome! I needed to get my head clear. When I get back, I'm gonna straighten all this out. I just hope Dream is doing okay.
I'm going to get you, my pretty.
Yep, he is. I'm sure he is. You put it on his tab. Little something for yourself. Wait. You know, wait a second, Hardman. I just thought of something. If I got this money from the bank, and the bank got it from the Federal Reserve dump trucks. Go on. Then where does the Federal Reserve get their money? Real nice time, ladies. Real nice. Now, excuse me while I borrow from you. Say, Hartman, why am I wearing a burglar bikini top? Because no one is allowed inside the Fed. Not you, not me, no American citizen, no duly elected member of our Congress, not the Supreme Court. Not the Supreme Court? Not the Supreme Court, not the Justice Department, not the CIA, DIA, FBI, ATF, ATE, NBC, not even G-O-D. How come the government isn't allowed inside its own building? Government? Ah, the Fed is a private bank owned by private stockholders. Do not let the name Federal fool you. This place is about as federal as Federal Express. A private bank? But private? Shh. Best to keep your voice down, pal.
This is Ethan, Federal Reserve.
Hey, Eth, Bill here, First National.
Hi there, Bill. How are you?
Good, good. We're running a little low on money.
No problem. How much you need?
Oh, how does 20 million sound? What?
Excellent. We'll ship it over first thing tomorrow.
Wait, he can just call up the Fed and ask for more money and they give him whatever they want? No, pal. The Fed don't give the banks money. The Fed loans the banks money. The banks have to pay it back with interest. Now, come on, time to go. Wait. I still don't understand. Where does the Fed get their money? I mean, if they're a private bank. You said they're a private bank, right? Okay, so who puts money into the Fed bank?
This is Mel, United States Mint.
Hi, ML. First National needs another 20 millis.
We're already running the presses full steam here, Ethan.
Gotta keep making loans. Gotta keep the money flowing.
All right, you're the Fed. Whatever you guys say. 20 million more by morning.
But I don't get it. What's so wrong about the Fed printing money? Because it's unconstitutional, pal. Our Treasury is supposed to create our money, but now the Fed controls the printing of America's money. Nobody gets a friggin' dollar that the Fed didn't print. So, they print the money, then they loan it to the government, then they charge the government interest, then the government taxes you to pay for it. Wake up, pal. God, I don't see what the big deal is. You know, you're right, pal. Wait a minute. Wait, I am? Yeah. I forget how effective they are at keeping you ignorant. Well, that's okay. Hey, I'm not ignorant. Do you even know what money is, pal? In the long ago, people bartered. They traded things they had for things they wanted. I'll trade you my raspberries for that there pot pie. I don't want your berries. Come on. Oh, those sweet berries. They're not sweet. They're old, and I don't like berries. Give me that pot pie! No. As you can see, this bartering situation created some problems. Then one day, a goldsmith walked up and said,
Now, everybody thinks gold is valuable, so why doesn't everybody trade gold for things they need?
A price was set for gold, and now it was very easy to conduct commerce because people could trade gold for all the things they needed. Hartman! Wow, look at all my gold! Hey, stop them! That's my gold! Damn, thieves!
Say there, Pile. I've got a vault and some guards. I can keep your gold safe for you for a small fee.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. You see, Pile, this is how the first bank made money.
There you go, Pile. I owe you 100 gold coins.
Okay, great.
Come back anytime and redeem your gold when you want it. It'll be right here in my vault.
Now you're holding the very first paper money, Pile.
Wow, this is great. It all makes sense.
Oh, that's right. It was good. And everybody started using IOUs because everybody knew the IOU was as good as gold.
Wow, this candy is really a good price. 1 IOU. I'm getting some more for later.
Hey, wait a minute. It was just 1 IOU. 10 IOUs for chocolate? You can't just raise prices like that. Oh, the Candyman can. Oh, the Candyman can. Wait, that is just freaking wrong. It's called inflation, Pile. It makes your IOUs worth less and less until they are worth nothing. Less bang for the buck. Dollar ain't what it used to be.
But I worked hard and I baked all those pot pies.
Now I have to work harder to make less? That's not fair. Oh, if you think that's not fair, you're gonna love the next part. What's he doing? How do banks make money, pal? By making more loans? Oh, that's right. He's good. See, he prints more IOUs without any more gold, loans them out for interest, makes a pretty penny, and nobody is the wiser. Unless everybody wanted their gold back at the same time. No. That's my gold. Not anymore. What are you talking about? I'd like to redeem my IOUs, please. Thank you very much. Hey! I want my gold back now! Thief! I love the bank run, bringing people together. See, they all found out he was stealing, made a run on the bank, and demanded their gold. But as you can see, there ain't no gold to get. Hardman, don't worry, pal. Back in these times, vengeance will be yours. 3 things in this world you don't do. Never mess with another man's woman. Never mess with another man's ego. And most importantly, you never mess with another man's money. Else, a man will mess with you. My God! You hung him? Yes, pal. Oh, we hung him. We hung him high. And do you know why? Well, because he was a thief? Because, pal, an evil invention was born. Man discovered how to turn worthless paper into gold. Thus was invented the ultimate machine to steal real money and enslave all the nations on Earth. It's alive! Oh, now come on. You're just being dramatic. I mean, I lost my house, but what is that? Explain. A nuclear power plant? Mm-hmm. Produces lots of electricity and little pollution. An invention for the good of humanity. Okay, but what's this have to do with... 3, 2... Holy atomic energy! A discovery more powerful than anything man had yet conceived. It can be used for good or evil. Now, unlike Einstein, the goldsmith's discovery has been kept a closely guarded secret. It was never intended for you to see. This discovery is called fractional reserve banking. In the wrong hands, it's more powerful than the nuclear bomb in its ability to completely and utterly destroy a nation who is subjected to its perversion. No. It is time we stop this evil secret and the men behind it. You're being ridiculous. Before America is destroyed forever. Believe it, Pat. No. I just want my dog back. Damn it. That's it. I give up. Let them live in chains. No. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Thomas Jefferson? Mr. President, how do I get him to understand? As we did, son, remain vigilant. Too many have hidden the truth, and the light of our liberty dims with every passing day. Quickly, take my horse. Show him. Wait, show me what? Where are we going? Stallion of Liberty! Ride hard the hoary wind! Oh, where are we? Battle of Waterloo! Hold on, we gotta get through! A money machine! There it is! Hey, is that the same people? Rich banker men from Germany, flying under the banner of the Red Sheet. They finance both sides of the war. We must hurry! That's him, the Red Shield courier! Shoot him! No, I'm not shooting anyone. Damn it, Pop. What? He beat everyone back with the news of the war and told England that Napoleon won. The Red Shield backers in London pretended that England was doomed and started selling their English stocks. The English went into a selling frenzy to get rid of worthless English money. But the English won, right? Of course they won, but it was a trick by Red Shield. They waited until the stocks plummeted to pennies and then bought England back for nearly nothing. What? They did that? How? When the English leaders found out, they had no choice but to give themselves over to the Red Shield. Their money was gone and they were slaves to the Red Shield war debt. Since that time, the English have been paying their national taxes directly to the Red Shield private bankers. The people have no idea. But the bankers bragged about what they did to us, laughing at us all the way to the bank.
Why, it's the best business I've ever done. If I can control a nation's wealth, I care not who makes its laws.
Oh, is this what Jefferson wanted to show me? No, pal. Look. They're in America, too? The Red Shield banks are here, pal. Seeking a way to conquer our American dream. A dream you have, pal. A dream of free men. They tried to take over our country many times and failed because Jefferson and the Patriots vowed to stop the evil tyrants at all costs. By authority of eternal God, he would not let the bankers win again. To preserve our independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our choice between economy and liberty or profusion and servitude. Wow. I place economy among the first and most important of Republican virtues, and public debt is the greatest of the dangers to be feared. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes.
We must have a central bank to secure this country's finances.
If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their money, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of their property until their children will wake up homeless on the very continent their fathers conquered.
Jefferson, you're mad. This country will have a central bank.
Who's that? America's first Secretary of Treasury. Alexander Hamilton? Not for long. Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson's vice president. They didn't take too kindly to our first Sec Treasury. Sweet shot, Burr. The first attempt at a central bank only lasted 20 years and we shut it down. But the bankers tried again against Old Hickory President Andrew Jackson.
You are a den of vipers and thieves. I intend to rout you out, and by the eternal God, I will rout you out.
After surviving an assassination attempt, Jackson finally defeated the bank in 1836. When asked what was the greatest accomplishment in his life, Old Hickory replied,
I killed the bank.
And those were his last words. I killed the bank. And with real money backed with real gold, our country experienced the greatest boom in any nation's history. Oh, it was beautiful, pal. But the bankers, greedy for more power and wealth, were concocting their most ambitious plan yet to once and for all take control of the finances of the United States. In 1910, a secret meeting was held at a J.P. Morgan estate on Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia. This meeting was so secretive, so concealed from government and public knowledge that the 10 attendees used code names.
I am clearly the richest man, so I should be the one to run the super-secret central bank. I own all the oil in America. I'm clearly richer than you will ever be, hula girl. I should run the super-secret central bank. You're nothing compared to me, lube job. I shall run the secret bank.
Silence!
Supreme Master Leader, I didn't know you were going to be here.
I'm not. Neither are you, dumbass.
Oh, yeah, right. He's so smart.
None of you shall run the bank. We have failed in the past because of openness. This time, the key to success is secrecy. The people must believe that they run the bank.
Yes, brilliant. A sneak attack. What's the plan?
We first create panic. Then we show them the solution. With our man in office and well-planned timing, we will have our central bank. And so the people think it is theirs. We shall christen it Federal. The Federal Reserve. They struck on December 23rd, 1913. When most of our Congress were at home eating fruitcake, these bastards, bankers, presented their treasonous act to their newly elected accomplice, Woodrow Wilson, who had fortuitously already agreed to sign it before he was even elected. Wait, the IRS? I thought we always had the IRS. No, pal. They did this. to us too. The Fed now has the exclusive power to print America's money. They loan this money to our banks and our government at interest, putting immediate debt on our own money, printing more and more, so each dollar they print becomes worth less than the one before. Merry Christmas. What in the hell is that? That is how our government now must pay back these debts to the Fed. Your taxes did not go to your government. They don't? It's the greatest theft in human history.
But, okay, I mean, I sort of get what you're saying, but it's also confusing. And really, Hartman, I don't see how it affects me at all. If I had more money, none of this would have happened. Hartman? 1955? Wow, what are we doing here?
Oh, a little bit of shopping. Here, hold this. Gallon of gas, 23 cents. Postage stamp, 3 cents. Ounce of gold, $35. Hot baby, priceless. Best be getting back.
Hey, Hartman! I need my car, man!
Oh, was that Michael J?
Yeah, he'll be fine. Now, pal, would you agree that you have the same exact things you had in 1955?
Yeah, 1 stamp, 1 gallon of gas, 1 ounce of gold, and 1 home. Wow, we just made a lot of money.
Hey! Gotta pay your taxes. Bet it's nice to have made all that money.
Wait, that isn't fair. Now I actually have less money. I can't even go buy the things I just sold.
The IRS and the Fed's inflation work together, pal. They aren't just taxing gain, they are taxing their inflation. You are no richer than you were in 1955. Now, does that sound fair or American to you?
Yeah, but I mean, who doesn't hate taxes? I hate the IRS anyway.
Pal, the higher they make the inflation, the more your money they take. It's thievery. Your taxes on any...
Nude, it froze up.
What's that? Oh, I found it. Quick, my sword.
What sword?
You don't need your banking machine. I'll condemn you to die, damn it. Die! Pile! Don't I keep bogey on my nine. Take him at his knees.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
What's happening? Where am I?
I believe perhaps you understand now, pal, but you are afraid.
JFK. Hartman, what does this have to do with my house and my dog? Oh, okay, that's enough. I want to go home now.
This is the last president to stand up to the Fed. You must see. On June 4, 1963, President Kennedy signed Executive Order 11110. This executive order empowered the U.S. Treasury to issue real money without the Fed. It would have worked. Kennedy's plan to dismantle the Federal Reserve machine had begun. But 6 months later, John F. Kennedy went to Dallas and never returned.
No way. No way they could do that.
The new president, Lyndon Johnson, threw out Kennedy's order. And since JFK, no president has dared confront the secret powers behind the Federal Reserve. They consolidate bigger and bigger banks, print more and more money, accountable to no one, decimating our nation's wealth for the benefit of a few.
Why? Why do this? If they hurt us, it hurts the global bankers too.
No, pal. They are protected. They are too big to fail.
But I'm not.
Those sons of bitches! Sons of bitches all.
The day was cold. The wind sharp and strong. But we were determined.
The bankers and their parasites had us vastly outnumbered, but their hubris made them weak. Not like us. Not like this band of immortals we have assembled. We have come to take back our... Hardman? Is that? My dog. Oh, Then the inevitable. The money kings could ignore us no longer. They sent an emissary, a cog in their machine of greed to bring about our submission. Hank Paulson.
Hardman, this is blasphemy. We own the corners of the earth. It is futile to challenge us.
Oh, I've seen that look before. That of a predator taking in the scent of its prey. Bold, fearless, the look of a free man.
You have come far, Hardman. Farther than most. Be smart now. Join us. We will bring you money, power, everything you want. You can be one of us. If you will kneel. Madman. You're a madman. We're offering you everything. What do you think this is? This is America!
I guess we gotta watch the credits unless y'all ready.
All right.
Very, very impressed. Very, very. I feel like I got here at the right time.
Oh no, you missed
Oh
it.
no, who's here? Oh no, I didn't see him. Is that no?
Turkey's in the house.
Joe, you're not reading the room, Joe Cool. You ain't reading the room. You ain't see me up here.
So there you have it, minus of course the in this one too, the American patriotic bullshit. Another very good overview description of the monetary system, how it works, how it's all a scam, and how it's pulling the wool over everybody's eyes and keeping them enslaved.
Keeping us bamboozled.
Yes.
All right. Who else is here? Can we see? It's just us four.
Yeah, let me take this off. Hold on. There you are.
So that's 5. Oh, Dan. He's just 4 of us. Dan never speaks anyway.
We had Moosey up earlier.
Who, Moosey? Moose. Okay.
Moose, yeah.
All right. Well, shit. I want to talk about the fractional reserve banking system, but fucking Guru is the only one he knows more about than I do. So this shit might be irrelevant.
But Joe, I mean, you see it every day. It's corrupt. It's plant. It's designed to make us believe in it.
And when you come back, I'd like to talk about just what we saw in the video. I know it's fucked up everywhere, blah blah. But oh man. Okay, here's a breakdown as to how I understand it. The fractional reserve banking system. Shy, you you put $100 of your paycheck into the bank. Well, they can loan that shit 10 times over. They can make $1,000. They can put out $1,000 worth of loans over there. $10.
You're basically right, except it's 100 times, which they do more than 100, but legally it's 100.
Hey,
it's a Ponzi scheme.
Joe,
yes.
you done any education lately?
Have I done any education?
I mean, like given some education in the past few days.
Well, I do on panels every night, but yeah, and I do in real life. My girl, my mom, but I don't guess that's what you're talking about.
Oh, you had to educate your girl's mom.
No,
Sorry,
my
never
mom.
mind.
I'm back in
I'm getting
Chicago.
off topic already.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. I was getting ready to say, Moose, this is not the segue for you to start coming in being being who you are.
I'm gonna try this again. This is why I thought this conversation would go nowhere. I'm gonna try it again. If they take your,
it'll go somewhere. Go ahead.
You take your $100. I'm sorry, your $10. Let's just keep it at 100 for the round number shits. They take your $10 and they loan it out. Oh, doggy, hold on, my internet's tripping. Now let me go to data.
It's all right.
Sounds like he's describing the Ponzi scheme, right, Nudie?
He is.
Okay, so you take that though and you loan it out 10 times. And all of those people are on that money that they got. They have to pay taxes on it. And the people and whatever they get on it, those people are paying taxes on it. That money is being spent so many times as opposed to me giving you $1 and you giving me $1 worth or something back. So that system, because they took your dollar, and that system will make your dollar worthless. You might as well kill in that way of monetary system. It is doomed to fail because it's a Ponzi scheme, like you just said.
Correct.
And it sounds like they recycling the money. That's all they doing is just recycling it.
And every
just
time
sending it in a circle.
Every time you recycle it, though, it explodes, not just expands. It explodes, making it worthless again. And these monkeys,
hyperinflation is integrated in the design. There's no choice but to hyperinflate because there's no other way to get money in circulation by adding more debt on top of debt.
Exactly. It's all debt. And anything that is in there, it's swamped by you're turning into debt. If there was a pure penny in there, you swamped it by debt.
Correct.
It making it not only not worth it, making it sickening. I call my friends ignorant. I gotta say some negative shit right quick. That's why I call my friends ignorant when they tell me that they want Trump in here because they'll pay less for gas. That's it. Right. That's all it takes to fucking satisfy motherfuckers.
Let me try another simple approach at even though I don't have a visual in front of me, but I should make one for this. Let's say you just there's no money in circulation and you just put $1 into circulation and that's all there is. Just $1 into circulation. Okay.
Yeah.
And you attached a 1% interest onto that $1. How much money is owed back to you?
All right. I got to think down close. I already had expanded and blew it up.
33 cents.
No.
So
1% interest is
1% interest.
I put the money in, and the bank is supposed to give me 1% interest. So
let me recap. Starting field is there's no money at all.
Okay.
And then I make $1. I literally create $1.
Right.
To put in circulation, and I put $1 in circulation. Okay, but that's all that I put in circulation, and now I attach an interest to that of 1%. How much is owed back?
I think you've already only made 99%. I mean, 99 cents only remains now. When you thought you created that interest, it takes a penny away. That's what I think.
how much money did I put into circulation?
$1.
$1.
And how much is owed back to me?
$1.01.
So if I only put $1 in circulation, how would it be possible to pay me back $1.01?
It is not. In fact,
It's not.
That's why I keep expanding. I can't keep thinking at that $1 shit because I'm thinking of the guy you gave it to, and now
the only way I can cover that is by lending out more money to cover
and
it, creating
more money, right?
Correct. That's how the entire monetary system works.
So basically what you're saying, if no one worked, the whole thing would just collapse instantly.
You die if you don't work. Be more specific, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying, though. I mean,
you're saying work equal money. Be specific. What do you mean? Because if there's many ways around that, I could still work. Guru could give me dollar for dollar.
Okay,
or
well,
we could trade.
No, what I'm saying, if nobody worked, they could collapse the system.
The only true surety for the loan, you know what surety means?
Surety.
Yeah, it's the backing.
Yes. Okay, I was going to say that.
Collateral. It's another word for collateral. The only true surety for the loan is the labor of the worker. So they are so sure that you're guaranteed to work that they have no problems printing more and putting it into circulation and getting the people through. That's actually the real bondage of the birth certificate. That's what the whole bond thing is about. You're the surety through the bond.
Guru, I hesitated because I wanted to say there is no true surety, right? Even that's a gamble because even in this sense, even if you're, I got your gold, it's assured over here. There is no true surety.
Nothing is certain, but it's about as close as it can get because you have millions of people who have been indoctrinated into working for a system.
I'd buy it. If I were buying sureties and I come from another country and see how dumb Americans are, and you tell me the whole scam, I'd buy the surety because they're never going to wake up and understand. It's a good investment.
It absolutely is a good investment.
They're going to keep working for the next 100 years. It's a good investment.
Right.
Let me understand this now. This is what I want to, okay, if people don't work, it would definitely shut down the whole system. Is that correct? But as long as people's working, they're still paying off the loan, whatever it is. And the debt keeps getting higher, though.
It would shut down the system. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, the system is based on the back of the labor of the workforce.
It gets even more complex, right? Because I'm thinking a guy must work. That's why I took issue with the word to live. So let's say we do have to keep working in order to live and deal with each other, but we're not gonna deal with their system. It gets more complex because they're not gonna let me and Guru create our own dollar and do it the right way. They're not gonna let us do any private shit. They're gonna come into our private shit and insist that we use their currency or whatever. So I think we still, in some fashions, we gotta live, and you gotta work to live.
They need as much labor backing the interests as possible to keep it going as long as possible. That's all it is.
They can't let you get out. They gotta punish you severely if you try to get out.
Yes,
which is why this Paul shit interests me so much, and this Guru shit interests me so much.
Every single second of labor is millions of gold in value to the system.
And it's
you are the surety.
And every time you don't do labor, you costing them money.
Yes.
Your lazy ass, go get a job.
You're either an epic asset or an epic liability.
Wait, no. They open up the border and they bust people in, the new slaves. Stop playing with me.
Yeah, there you go.
That's distraction bullshit.
It is distraction bullshit, but she's got an underlying point. These are new slaves who are eager to feed the system, while niggas like me and you are talking about separate. It is, it's a tiny fraction, but
everybody's eager. Everybody's eager. It doesn't matter whether they're coming from there or here because everybody's hopelessly dependent on it. That's just the distraction part. And the narrative of that is to get people to fight over cookie crumbs.
I would agree with that. I was trying to give it 1% of it. It would be effective It is a distraction. Clearly, that's the chunk of it. 90+% is for distraction. But it was also wise because it helps your workforce. And these people are going to be very indoctrinated because all they hear is, as long as you come over here and work, we wouldn't have a problem with you. They want to fit in. They've got an eager workforce.
Exactly, Joe.
Not horrible.
Exactly.
It's also from a capitalist perspective. You want the cheaper and more quality you can get, the better. Humans are a product, right?
Yes, yes. And there it is. That's like fucking sending out your work overseas to Korea or something where you can pay them 20 cents on a dollar. You can do it here if you get them, man.
Right. So, and it's very easy to like take tax dollars and use that to pay for, an incoming workforce, and by design get the taxpayer to cry about it and ignore the fact that, hey, dummy, your taxes is just a fancy word for forgivable loan. Stop giving it to them then. What are you doing? Right? Once you gave it to them, it's theirs. They're a business. They have no obligation to benefit you. You're not a shareholder in the business.
That's right. That's right.
So quit crying about it. It's not your business. And you don't want it to be your business anyway. It's cookie crumbs. Right?
Right. Oh shit.
And that segues into, okay, well, so what are the actual solutions are? And that's the other side. You missed a whole bunch of good stuff today.
I'm sure I did, but I had to though, because my wife, she went to was it a wedding yesterday, a graduation and something, a baby shower, and I know she got in late. I knew she was going to talk about it. I knew as soon as she called me, that would be hours, and then I knew I'd probably be over here for a while, so I put together a short so I could post something for today. I had to use that time, bro.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Well, glad you made it anyways.
Yeah, me as well, man. I thought my timing was, always fan of God shit, fan of synchronicity. I'm sure you had great shit I could have benefited from, but when you got here, it was still perfect. I was like, here comes my kid. Hit him with this.
I definitely recommend watching the recording.
I would love to, but I'll probably be, where am I going? Southern Illinois. I'll probably be leaving out, which means I'll have to get up and take my car somewhere to get an oil change, get my shower, and hit the road.
No, I don't mean today. I mean, it's, it's on his channel after this. We're not taking it down.
And for him, I am. For him, I am.
Right. You only got today, Joe? Motherfucker, it's the only day of your life.
Oh, yeah. He's got to pay his membership fee, right? For members only.
I wonder. Well, yeah. I just did you see the last video I made?
If we're going to do the Ponzi scheme, we got to do it right.
Did you see the last video I made?
I think that you forced us to watch it last time I was here. I'm kidding.
No. This is the new one.
I did not.
He didn't see it. He didn't see it yet. Wait till he sees it. Okay. All right. Nothing. You'll hear about it.
If it ain't fucking an hour, your shit's pretty short. We could see it at some time.
You can play it again if you want, right?
You want me to play it again?
Yeah, I could use it now.
Yeah. It's what, 4 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
not that long. Yeah. I just.
But the solutions, Guru, you're saying. You said talk solutions, and it looks like in the midst of me talking and doing whatever the fuck I be doing, don't pay taxes was the end result. Don't pay taxes because that,
we actually that's the next part of the class is actually segueing into actual proactive solutions that people can do, and obviously that's one of them.
Well, wait, before you come up with the solutions, then, if it's about to be a class, I'd like to spend a moment in my own head before you start.
You're in class right now, by the way.
Yes, okay. Before you drop that lesson, let me go over my head. You can't talk or something. I want to see what solutions I could come up with, so then I can understand what you say better.
Yeah, sure.
But I can't do two things at once. So you guys are shot. You might, or Moose, y'all might want to pipe up now.
Well, it wasn't going to be me who gave the answers anyways.
We'd be learning together.
Right? So, but if you want, what we could do, because we haven't really had a break.
I'm sorry, I think I got a buddy might have got popped or something. Someone says, can I call an Iron Shaman? He needs my help. Let me see if it's a jail situation. That's the only time I get these texts.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'll be back.
No worries. While he's doing that, why don't we figure come conclusive to this portion of the class with any other questions that we have or clarifications on everything that we've learned up to this point. Is there anybody that has any questions about the material that we covered, the Ponzi scheme, the zero sum, the monetary system, how it works, how it operates, how it's all a scam, why it's a scam? Any questions about that, or any clarification or elaboration that anybody wants?
Chirp, chirp, chirp.
Chirp, chirp.
No way.
Everybody,
You did a good job on it, Nude.
Boy,
did you hear what I just said, right? What I was asking everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any questions, everything else.
What?
Oh. Well, Joe, you weren't here for the class, but I was just asking everybody what we're going to do is we're just going to put a wrap to this part of the class. I was just asking everybody if anybody had any further questions or needed elaboration on the first part.
Anybody need an oxygen machine? That's what that was for. Iron Shaman is selling an oxygen machine, so I didn't really have to jump off. But
I like to.
Go ahead.
I like to borrow $10 off of Joe Cool.
I'm gonna have to charge you 11.
And Nude,
money is not real. I say this all the time and people act confused. They don't seem to know exactly what I mean, but I mean exactly what I say. Money in and of itself is not real. Things are real, value is real, exchange is real, but money is not real. The reason you do not understand that is because you are living inside the matrix. You must see the real world. Once you understand how things truly function, it's like lifting yourself up out from inside of your own body and viewing from above. You'll see yourself, you'll see your surroundings, you'll see your neighborhood. You will now have clarity. And when you come back down into your body, inside of the matrix, you'll know which way to walk. You would have mapped it out from above. You must escape. You must reach the real world. In the real world, you will learn that most of the things they told you aren't real. The judicial system's not real. The financial system's not real. None of it's real. Law and order in and of itself is not real. Money is not real. I know you want money. I understand why, because money allows you to manipulate the people who still believe in money. It's not real to you, and it's not real to me, but I can take some of this not real entity and give it to someone who believes in it, and they will give up their time and their life doing what I want for something that isn't even real.